Chapter 1175. Boss has a way, thank you, Manager Zhang. Yuren knew that Manager Zhang was in a difficult position as well. They couldn't afford to mess with them, and the housekeeping company had done all they could. Yuren didn't need them to do anything else. Yuren couldn't help but sigh as he watched Manager Zhang leave. His family had just gotten better, they had some money, and their lives were getting better as well. Who would have thought that something like this would happen? Yuren went to the doctor to ask about the situation. Yuan, on the other hand, looked at Gooden, amused and angry at the same time. Zhou Jiaming, can't you change that impulsive personality of yours? This person is different from the underground arena. If you kill her, wouldn't that be breaking the law? You go to jail. I didn't say I was going to kill her. I just said I was going to demand an explanation and kill the lion. Gooden grinned. I'm not an idiot. Yuan couldn't help but chuckle. But you can't do that. Let's take a look at Mom's condition first. Yuan didn't know about her mother's injury yet, thinking that it wasn't serious. She didn't hear the manager's voice when he lowered it. After a while, Yuren came back from outside the room, sighing and frowning. Dad, how's Mom? Will she be okay? Yuan saw her father walk in and quickly went up to him. Hey, don't talk about it. The doctor said that even if your mom's healed, she'd still be crippled. She'd be crippled from now on. Yuren sighed and said helplessly, such a big thing happened, and that family took the money and didn't even come out to apologize. Sigh, Mom's leg, going to be crippled? Yuan was shocked. She looked at her father in disbelief. That's what the doctor said, and it's the best case scenario. If she doesn't recover well, she might not even be able to stand up. She'd have to use crutches to walk, and she'd have to sit in a wheelchair. Yuren lowered his head in pain. His life had just gotten better. How did it go wrong again? No, I have to go ask for an explanation. I can't just let this go. Gooden clenched his fists. How could they do that? If they don't give me an explanation, I'll punch that lion to death. Let's see if my fist is harder or if their reasoning is harder. Even if you kill that lion, you can't solve it now. Yuan glared at Gooden. Let's think about what we should do in the future. All right. Gooden nodded and sighed, man. It would be great if we could find Boss. Auntie's injury isn't a big deal for Boss. Your boss is a doctor? Yuan paused. She knew that Gooden was here to find someone, but she didn't know that it was a doctor. Yeah, my boss is a miracle doctor. I'm here to deliver the medicine to Boss. Gooden said proudly. Lin, he would always be Gooden's pride. Talking about Lin, he was like talking about Gooden himself. Gooden felt a sense of accomplishment. Oh, does that mean that Mom's leg can be healed? Yuan was shocked and overjoyed. From what she could see, Gooden wasn't the type of person to boast. She did think so when they first met, but Gooden's actions proved that he wasn't just boasting. He said he would kill Fighter Lee, and he really did. This proved that Gooden was a very practical person. Yes, of course. As long as we find Boss, everything will be fine. Gooden smiled. You don't have to worry about that. Pho, then how we find your boss? Yuan didn't really care about the person Gooden was looking for, but now she was panicking. I don't know. It's all that scammer's fault. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have lost the note. Gooden said helplessly. Then we'll look for him slowly. We'll find him eventually, as long as there's hope. Yuan was at least full of hope now. She was thinking about how she was going to spend the rest of her life after what the doctor said. Now that there was a chance to change things, she was naturally happy. Then I'll go find that tyrannical family first and demand justice. Gooden nodded. That's not a rush. Yuan knew that Gooden was strong, but some things couldn't be rushed. Who knew if they'd come tomorrow? Let's wait. If that family doesn't show up again, we'll go find them. But try not to get into a conflict. We're just asking for justice. All right, I'll give them 3 days. If they don't give us an explanation in 3 days, I'll go find them. Gooden nodded. He'd been interacting with Yuan a lot these days, and he was more civilized with his words. He didn't call himself I in front of Yuan. In the Villa District, everyone started to panic. Lin, E, and the others had been away for 2 days, and they usually went to school early and late. They naturally didn't know what was going on in the district, and they didn't know that a lion had appeared in the district. Go Huli, on the other hand, was still walking around the district with the lion. The residents all knew how domineering she was, and they knew that she had a powerful background. They didn't dare mess with her. They couldn't mess with her, but they could hide. So wherever Go Huli appeared, people would all avoid her, especially the lion in her hand. Of course, acting cool in front of normal people didn't give her any sense of accomplishment anymore. What she wanted the most was to act cool in front of Meng Yao, Yushu, and Lin Yi. The Xiao family had been snubbed by House Chu before, and they still hadn't gotten their revenge yet. And so Go Huli had been looking for a chance to cause trouble for House Chu these 2 days, but every time she went to Meng Yao's villa, all she saw was the locked gate and the dark villa. There was no one inside. This made Go Huli depressed. She finally had a chance to act cool and step on people, but she couldn't use it. It was like a cultivator getting a supreme treasure, but she couldn't activate it. Only Go Huli herself knew how depressed she felt. Chapter 1176. Performing a circus, Meng Yao had obviously returned. Their car was parked in front of the villa, and the lights in the villa were turned on and a few windows were opened. Huli was overjoyed. She led the lion to Meng Yao's villa's yard. At this moment, Meng Yao, Yushu, and Lin Yi had just returned to the villa after sending Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao back. The three of them hadn't locked the door yet, since the security here was good. No one would lose anything in the day. Thus, Go Huli entered the yard easily. "Little lion, make 2 noises here." Huli ordered her lion. "Roar." The lion had received professional training, so it understood everything Go Huli said. Yushu and Meng Yao were in the living room, looking at the pictures on their iPad too, excited. "Wow, Shield Bro's roasted shrimp looks so handsome." Yushu raised her iPad too in surprise. Meng Yao rolled her eyes. "Shu, you've roared so many times today. My ears are getting calluses." "But it's really handsome. Yao Yao, do you think so too?" Yushu said. "Nope," Meng Yao said faintly. "I'm not Tang Yun or Feng Xiao Xiao. Why would I care about Lin Yi?" "Oh." Yushu didn't say anything after seeing Meng Yao's cold attitude, and continued looking at the pictures. But a lion's roar came from the villa's doorway. Yushu didn't pay much attention to it first, but got louder and louder. Yushu raised her head, confused, and stopped what she was doing. "Yao Yao, do you hear the weird sound?" "What sound?" Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't pay attention to it. Her attention wasn't on this. Shu kept saying that Lin Yi was handsome, and Meng Yao took a closer look and realized that it was true. Lin Yi wasn't a pretty boy, but he was a man with a manly temperament, which suited Meng Yao's taste. She didn't like guys with too many styles, but a guy with too much brawn and no brains wasn't good either. In short, Meng Yao's criteria for a partner were very complicated, but Lin Yi just happened to meet all of them. Hence, Meng Yao was in a dilemma. She hadn't recovered from the shock yet, so naturally, she didn't hear any strange noises coming from the villa's yard. "It's that kind of roar. Yushu mimicked a lion's roar. "Ah." Meng Yao paused. "What's that?" "That's it. Yao Yao, listen carefully." Yushu pointed at the direction outside the villa. "Oh, there seems to be a strange sound." Meng Yao listened attentively. There was indeed the sound that Yushu mimicked, and it was quite similar to Yushu's. "Wait for me, Yao Yao. I'll go take a look." With that, Yushu called out to Lin Yi's room. "Shield Bro, come protect me." Lin Yi's taking a shower. Meng Yao said. Lin Yi said that he wanted to take a shower before going back to his room. So, of course, he couldn't come out now that Yushu was calling him. And so, Yushu led General Wei Wu out to check the situation. They saw Go Huli playing with a lion in the yard. "Fuck! What are you doing, you old woman?" Yushu's eyes widened as she looked at Go Huli in disbelief. "Are you putting on a circus here?" "Wah! You little bastard." Go Huli froze. She didn't think that her lion would be treated as a circus clown by Yushu. She raged. "Who is this old woman scolding?" After saying that, Go Huli looked at Yushu proudly. This was Yanggua's trump card in Jin Yang's novels. She didn't think that Go Huli would be able to use it so easily. After saying that, she waited for Yushu to fall into her trap. "This old woman is standing in front of me, scolding me." Yushu continued innocently. "You old woman, you're the little bastard, you're the old bastard." "Wah!" Go Huli was furious after hearing Yushu's words. This girl didn't respond to her like she expected, and instead, she scolded her back. If she called her a little bastard again, wouldn't that mean that she was admitting that she was an old woman? With that thought, Go Huli hemphed coldly. You have a sharp tongue. I won't talk to you anymore. Little lion, teach this girl a lesson. Oh, whoa. The lion in Go Huli's hand roared at Yushu. Lion? Yushu blinked, not scared at all. She looked at the lion in Go Huli's hand curiously. Is this really a lion? Umph. So what if it is? What, are you scared now? Go Huli said proudly. She didn't mind admitting that it was a lion in front of Yushu. It's fun, thank you. Old woman, you gave me such a fun pet, Yushu said happily. I need a master guard at home. I'll take it. Girl, are you crazy? I'm here to teach you a lesson. You think I'm giving you a lion? Is there something wrong with your IQ? Go Huli shouted angrily. Lion, go. Eat this girl's dog first. Go Huli didn't dare to let the lion eat Yushu in front of everyone. After all, she knew that Yushu was a member of the Chen family. Xiao family might be arrogant now, but they couldn't go too far in public. But eating her pet dog was no problem at all. As for secretly, Go Huli would be happy if she could bite Yushu to death. Roar. The lion roared at Wei Wu and walked towards him step by step. Fuck. Why are you so talkative, old woman? General Wei Wu, tame this lion for me. I need a guard. Yushu ordered. Woof woof. General Wei Wu responded and walked towards the lion without fear. Ugh. The lion didn't care when General Wei Wu was lying there, but now the dangerous aura that General Wei Wu emitted made the lion's hair stand on end. The sixth sense of an animal was the most sensitive. They could tell what was dangerous and what wasn't. The dog in front of it made the lion feel a great sense of danger. It was the king of the grassland, but facing a murderous dog like this, the lion still retreated a little. Chapter 1177. Chapter 1175. Chased up the tree, but General Wei Wu didn't care at all. In an instant, he pounced on the lion. The lion was shocked and jumped up. It waved its front paw at General Wei Wu, wanting to slap General Wei Wu to the ground. But before its paw could reach General Wei Wu, General Wei Wu's paw hit the lion's mouth, causing it to fall to the ground. General Wei Wu seemed to understand Yushu's intention. He wanted to tame this lion, not kill it. In General Wei Wu's eyes, this lion was weak and could be killed easily. But since Yushu didn't allow it to be killed, he had to hold back. The lion didn't expect the enemy to be so strong and give it such a huge blow. The lion was in pain, and its eyes were filled with fear. When it saw General Wei Wu pouncing on it again, the lion quickly turned around and ran to the side. Go Huli's eyes widened. What happened to her lion? Why didn't it eat General Wei Wu? Why did it run away as if it saw something scary? Little lion, come back. What are you doing? Hurry up and eat this dog for me. Go Huli panicked. She came here to use the lion to teach Yushu and the others a lesson. She didn't think that the lion would run away before she could teach them a lesson. However, the obedient lion didn't care about Go Huli's words at all. It just kept running forward. But how could it be as fast as General Wei Wu? In desperation, the lion saw a tree in the courtyard of the villa. So the lion gritted its teeth and jumped onto the tree. A lion can climb a tree? That's amazing. Old woman, this lion of yours has been specially trained for the circus. Yushu said in amazement. Go Huli's face reddened. Yushu's words were clear. She was calling her a clown in the circus, playing with the lion. Although Go Huli was angry, she didn't know what was going on. The lion was so powerful that it even ate a dog that was bigger than General Wei Wu. How could General Wei Wu chase the lion around? After the lion climbed up the tree, it hugged the trunk tightly and didn't dare to come down. It was even shivering on top of the tree. General Wei Wu, on the other hand, wasn't in a hurry. He squatted down calmly, as if he was waiting for the lion to come down. Little lion, come down. Huli panicked and yelled at the lion on the book. But the lion acted as if it didn't hear Go Huli's words and ignored her. Little lion, Huli called again. The lion still had no reaction. It had no intention of coming down. I'm going back to continue looking at the photos. Your lion has become my guard. I'm not going back with you. Go back by yourself. Bye-bye. Yushu waved at Huli and went back into the villa. Only General Weiwu, the lion on the tree, and Go Huli were left alone in the yard. Seeing Yushu go back, Go Huli was dumbfounded. She came here with the lion to act cool, but not only did she fail, the lion didn't come down from the tree, and it didn't listen to her anymore. She couldn't just sit on the ground and wait like the dog, could she? Then Huli's face would be completely gone. Go Huli wasn't happy. Was General Weiwu that scary? Why was the lion so scared of it? Puppy dog, can you let the lion come down? Go Huli didn't have a choice. She lowered her voice and discussed with General Weiwu. She didn't want to embarrass herself, so she kept her voice low. Woof woof. General Weiwu barked at Go Huli. Go Huli jumped in fright and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Obviously, Go Huli underestimated General Weiwu's intellect. She treated General Weiwu as a normal dog. Puppy dog, we both have the same surname. Why are you so unfriendly to me? I just want to bring my lion back. Can you let it come down? Go Huli didn't want to give up. Woof woof. General Weiwu barked twice and moved closer to Go Huli. Go Huli was so scared that she waved her hands. Forget it if you don't agree. I'll leave first. Go Huli was depressed. She didn't want to leave like this, but she wasn't a dog's opponent. What if the dog got angry and bitter? She could only go home and think of another way. If she really couldn't, she could contact the masters from House Pie. That would be easy, but when Go Huli told Xiao Ji her idea, Xiao Ji scolded her. Isn't it just a lion? If you don't come back, then don't. Our Xiao family may have a master with a wallet, and to outsiders, our Xiao family may look like they're invincible, but don't you know what's going on? These 2 masters from House Pie are here to supervise Xiao family's business. If there were business enemies, they'd help us take care of them. But you want them to help you beat up a dog? Only you can think of that. They're masters among masters. Why would they help you beat up a dog? But this isn't about the lion. It's about face. Last time, our Xiao family was humiliated by Meng Yao. If we don't get back at her now, people will think that we're afraid of House Chu. Go Huli said unwillingly. It's not a question of whether or not I'm afraid. Uncle Pai was injured by Lin Yi, and if the Pies wanted revenge, they would have gone after Lin Yi a long time ago. Would it be your turn? Xiao Ji hemphed coldly. House Pai hasn't gone to Lin Yi yet, which means that they won't. Let's just forget about it for now. Don't expose our Xiao family's trump card. If people see that we can't control House Pai, that'll be bad. I see. Go Huli lowered her head, feeling wronged. Haha, big brother, you can't say that. House Pai didn't go to Lin Yi for revenge because Uncle Pai's injury was caused by sister-in-law. That's why House Pai didn't go to Lin Yi. After all, they don't have a legitimate reason to do so. Xiao Bin waved his hand and analyzed, but I believe that House Pai will be in a hurry to get revenge. If there's any conflict of interest with Lin Yi, I don't think they would mind making a move. In fact, if sister-in-law wants revenge, as long as we create a conflict of interest with Lin Yi or House Chu, I believe that House Pai will be more than happy to help. Chapter 1178. Chapter 1176. An unexpected call. Xiao Bin was a smart man. He wanted to deal with Lin Yi, and he wanted to borrow House Pai's hand, but he wouldn't ask for help directly. Even if House Pai helped, the Xiao family would owe them a huge favor. But if Lin Yi or House Chu affected the Xiao family's business, then House Pai's help would be for their own benefit. The Xiao family wouldn't owe House Pai anything, and House Pai's help would be easier. So from Xiao Bin's point of view, this could be done, but it had to be planned carefully. It couldn't be rushed. Xiao Bin was pleased to see that his elder brother would go along with his suggestions. Although his elder brother was the head of the Xiao family, he was still the one in charge. In this way, it was no different from him being the head of the family. Xiao Bin nodded, so we have to plan this. It's best if House Chu can affect our family's benefits. That way, House Pai will definitely make a move for their own benefit. Not bad. Then I'll leave this to you, second brother. I'll leave the revenge for your sister-in-law to you as well. Xiao Ji nodded. Then, my lion. Huli was still a little unwilling. If the lion really stayed at House Chu and didn't come back, then Huli would lose all her face. She wouldn't be able to raise her head in this district anymore. She just showed off to the residents in the district, but now she even left the lion in someone else's house. How could she go out in the future? It's just a lion. If you don't want to, then buy another one. If you have the ability, then get it back yourself. Xiao Ji waved his hand, stopping Huli from continuing. That's it. I'm so busy every day. Where'd I have time to think about this? What Xiao Ji said wasn't wrong. The Xiao family's cooperation with various wealthy businessmen was in full swing. Every day, there were many things to do. Even Xiao Ji, who didn't care about anything, had to be busy receiving guests. After all, Xiao Bin had to go and finalize the cooperation agreement with the businessmen. Xiao Ji couldn't do such detailed things, but he could treat people to meals and socialize with them. Hearing Xiao Ji's words, Go Huli knew that there was no way she could ask House Pie for help. She could only think of a way herself. Helplessly, Go Huli could only sneak out at night. The lion persevered on the tree for a while, but it could not hold on any longer. After all, it was a land animal, not a bird. How could it stay on the tree peacefully? Therefore, the lion's heart changed. He was ready to come down to General Weiwu and ask for peace. Lenny took a shower and changed into his pajamas. He was just about to go check on General Weiwu and the lion when his phone rang. Lenny looked at the caller ID. It was Ling Shan. Ever since Ling Shan leveled up a few days ago, she hadn't called Lenny again. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was happy to be free. Who knew what Ling Shan needed his help at this time? This time, Ling Shan called Lin Yi because she needed his help with something. She had just returned to the police station this afternoon when Yu Qian came to visit. Compared to Xie Yufeng, Ling Shan found that Yu Qian was more pleasing to the eye. But it was just pleasing to the eye. Compared to Lin Yi, he was still a far cry. Ling Shan remembered a line from a song. The one who loves me has no regrets for me, but I'm crying for the one I love, my heart breaking. Ling Shan thought that her relationship with Lin Yi would improve after the last level up. But after a few days, Lin Yi still hadn't contacted her. Lin Yi would only call her a limited number of times, and it was always for something. He never called just for the sake of calling. Ling Shan, why do you look so worried? What, you don't welcome me? Yu Qian saw Ling Shan sitting in front of her desk with a long face, deep in thought. I told you, call me Officer Song on the job, but you can call me Ling Shan in private. Ling Shan said faintly as she looked at the person who came. Yu Qian's face changed slightly, but he said, Ling Shan, we're from noble houses, right? Even if you don't accept my love, there's no need to be so distant, is there? Then what should I do? Act warm to you? Make you misunderstand? Ling Shan said faintly. That's... Ling Shan, I admit that I still love you very stubbornly, but I already understand your feelings. If you really marry that person, I'll be relieved and I'll be happy. I admit that I, Chen Yutian, am not as good as him. I'm not as good as him now, and I won't be stronger than him in the future. My love for you is buried deep in my heart. I just want to protect you silently. As long as you're happy, I'll be satisfied. I'm calling you Ling Shan as a big brother, just a little sister. If you don't agree, then I'll call you Officer Song from now on, Yu Tian said seriously. Ling Shan froze when she heard Yu Tian's words. She didn't expect Yu Tian to say something like this so openly. Yu Tian had revealed similar intentions and compliments towards Lin Yi before, but she didn't expect him to say it so seriously today. Yu Tian wasn't strong, but Ling Shan knew that Yu Tian was a man of his words. If he said this, then it meant that he'd thought it through. All right, I'm relieved that you think that way. I'll call you Yu Tian bro from now on. Ling Shan confirmed their sibling relationship. Haha, this relationship is a bit messy. Yu Tian scratched his head. Lin Yi was his instructor, and even if he wasn't his master, he was still his boss. If Ling Shan really followed Lin Yi, then she'd be his sister-in-law. But this could only be discussed in the future. What messy relationship? Ling Shan paused before remembering something. Yu Tian bro, what's your relationship with Lin Yi? That, you should ask him yourself. I can't tell you. Yu Tian didn't want to say anything behind Lin Yi's back. If Lin Yi was here and didn't object, then it wouldn't be a problem, but not now. Chapter 1179. Level up? Of course there is. The grave robbing case from last time has come to a conclusion. I have reported the matter to my superior. My superior wants us to disguise ourselves as a couple and enter the tomb with a grave robbing group codenamed Red Pagoda. Chen Yutian said, on one hand, we need to collect evidence of these grave robbers and capture them all. On the other hand, we need to record how they opened the tomb. This tomb is dangerous, and if we can gather all this information, it'll be easier for our experts to investigate the tomb in the future. This is very valuable. You're telling me this because you want the local police to work with you on the outskirts? Ling Shan asked. Yes, and on the other hand, I'd like to invite you to pretend to be a couple. Yu Qin coughed dryly. In fact, he didn't have any intentions of taking advantage of Ling Shan. He'd already let it go, and he wouldn't use the excuse of a mission to get intimate with her. That wasn't something a gentleman would do. Yu Qian did this because he considered Ling Shan's skills. The tomb was very dangerous, and it was impossible to go in without a certain level of skills. Ling Shan's skills were undeniable, and that was why Yu Qian sent this invitation. According to the information, the couple was quite skilled as well. Even if they weren't golden class, they had speed and agility similar to a golden class. Me? With you? Ling Shan paused. Yu Qian's suggestion didn't cross any rules or bottom line. After all, her profession was special, and it was normal for her to pretend to be a couple with someone else. But the problem was that she didn't really want to do it with Yu Qian. Yes, the tomb is very dangerous, and the tomb robbers aren't weak. If our people aren't strong enough, we might die in there. Yu Qian said solemnly. Ling Shan, I'm doing this for the big picture. I have no selfish motives. Although, I'd be very happy if we pretend to be a couple. It's not real. But at least it could be said that Yu Qian was very honest, and he didn't hide anything. This made Ling Shan admire Yu Qian. This personality suited Ling Shan's taste quite well. But even so, Ling Shan wouldn't fall for Yu Qian. There were two reasons. One was that Yu Qian wasn't strong enough, and the other was that Ling Shan already had someone else in her heart. Ling Shan didn't think anyone was as strong as Lin Yi right now. Lin Yi was a little domineering, but Lin Yi really did have some skills. Not only was he brave and resourceful, but he also had medical skills. More importantly, he could level up others. More importantly, although this man was a bit of a playboy, he was not that kind of promiscuous. She had failed to seduce Lin Yi several times, so she should be able to see that Lin Yi was a person who controlled his lower body with emotions and his upper body, not his lower body controlling his upper body. And so the more she thought about it, the more she liked Lin Yi. Lin Yi was an all-rounder, and he could even help her solve cases. This matter, if we cooperate with you, what benefits will there be? Ling Shan was representing the local police to cooperate with Yu Qian, so she had to get something in return. At the very least, she couldn't let Yu Qian take all the credit. As for the credit, of course, we'll split it 50-50. That's fair, that's all. The stolen goods have to be turned in, and I'm very poor, so I don't have any bonuses. Yu Qian shrugged with a smile. I need money? Ling Shan rolled her eyes. All right, but as you said, the tomb is dangerous, and you're only a golden class early phase. The two of us aren't strong enough, so I'd like to get some help. Help? Lin Yi? Yu Qian was smart, and naturally, he thought of Lin Yi. Ling Shan had two reasons for looking for Lin Yi. One was that with Lin Yi, she wouldn't have to pretend to be a couple with him anymore, but with Lin Yi. The second was that with a master like Lin Yi, the mission would be less dangerous. Yeah, Ling Shan nodded, blushing. Yu Qian saw right through her, and she felt a little embarrassed. Sure, as long as Lin Yi can help, I'll be even happier. Yu Qian said, after a sigh. But what he said was the truth. Although he couldn't pretend to be a couple with Ling Shan anymore, there were some things that he had to let go of, and he wouldn't regret it once he made up his mind. But fighting side by side with Lin Yi was Yu Qian's dream, and now that it had come true, he was naturally happy. With Lin Yi as his helper, the difficulty of this mission would be much lower. All right, I'll talk to Lin Yi then. Ling Shan nodded. I'll go call Lin. You wait for me outside. Don't worry, I won't eavesdrop. Yu Qian smiled, but he felt a little sour inside. Ling Shan was calling her lover. After all, and naturally, she wouldn't say it in front of him. And so, Ling Shan went into the resting room and called Lin Yi. "What's up?" Lin Yi picked up. "Miss Dummy misses you. Can I give you a call?" Ling Shan wasn't too happy with Lin Yi's formal voice. "Miss me? Why don't you miss me when you're not busy?" "Whenever you miss me, I'm busy." Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Ling Shan most likely had something to do with him. "Oh." Ling Shan paused, and then said happily, "Does that mean that I can call you when I'm free?" "That's great. I usually want to call you, but I don't dare, afraid that you'll scold me. So I have to find a reason to call you." "Why?" Lin Yi's eyes went wide, not knowing how to respond. Ling Shan's words were really hard to answer. He couldn't just say that she'd call him when she was free, could he? Then she'd probably call him every couple of hours. But if he didn't let her call him, wouldn't that mean that he'd let her find an excuse to call him? He smiled dryly, changing the topic. "Then why are you calling me this time? About leveling up?" "Leveling up? I want it." Ling Shan narrowed her eyes, thinking of a prank again. "When will you give it to me? I really want it." "Good man." Chapter 1180. Didn't want to go. Seduction, seduction. Even someone like Lin Yi, with his resistance, was losing ground in front of Ling Shan. That little vixen song. If this went on, something would happen sooner or later. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He couldn't deny that Ling Shan had the body, the face, and the uniform, but Lin Yi was struggling. "I can't do it now. I'll help you when I'm in Earth class," Lin Yi said, cutting Ling Shan off. Ling Shan paused. She thought that this was the limit of what Lin Yi could do for her, and that he wouldn't be able to do it again in the future. After all, external methods like this had their own limits, and other people's chi was different from their own. It was fine if it was a small amount, but too much would cause problems. Of course, Ling Shan didn't know that Lin Yi's chi was an all-purpose chi, and after entering her body, it became the same as her own chi. This was Lin Yi's ultimate cheat, after all. How could normal people compare to a main character with a halo? "It can still rise?" Ling Shan asked, a little surprised. It was already good enough that she was golden class late phase peak, so how strong would she get if Lin Yi helped her? Could it be that he could level up and become a mystic class master? "Yes, but you probably won't break through to Earth class. You'll probably only be mystic late phase peak. I haven't figured out the general pattern yet, but you'll always be a little lower than me." Lin Yi said, "Of course, don't tell anyone about this. I want people to line up at my house and ask me to help them improve their strength." "I'm not an idiot. Of course I won't tell anyone," Ling Shan said. How could she let other people know about this? But then she asked, "Can I really become a peak late phase mystic class?" Ling Shan didn't dare imagine it. Mystic late phase peak, that was the peak of all the noble houses in the common world. She had that kind of strength? And Lin Yi said that she was going to break through the earth rank? Ling Shan was dumbfounded. Naturally, she knew that Lin Yi was strong, but she didn't know that Lin Yi was this strong. Everyone else's target was half a layer, but Lin Yi was an earth class. Could it be that Lin Yi was already a mystic late phase peak master? With that thought, Ling Shan felt a surge of excitement in her heart. The man she had her eyes on wasn't wrong. "Let's talk about it after I break through to Earth class. I don't know when I'll be able to do that." Lin Yi thought, "I'm not even mystic late phase peak, and you're already thinking about it? Aren't you being too greedy? I worked so hard to level up, and now that I've leveled up, you've leveled up. It's so unfair." But in fact, if someone were to hear Lin Yi's thoughts, they would probably vomit blood. You have a cultivation space, a cheat, and the ability to mass-produce experts. You're practically invincible. Do you still think it's hard? "Yes, yes," Ling Shan said quickly. "Then, little dummy girl, I'll wait for you to break through and wash yourself clean. I'll be waiting for you anytime." "You called just to talk about this?" Lin Yi was speechless. "No, actually, there's one more thing. Don't you know about Lu Buijia? Chun Yuqian found me and asked me to go with him to pretend to be a couple and carry out a mission. I'd like to invite you to come with us. With your skills, it'll reduce the danger." Ling Shan got to the point. "Rob tombs with you guys?" Lin Yi blinked. "Not with us, but to catch the tomb robbers. We'll also record how to activate the tomb's mechanisms to help our archaeology. Ling Shan explained. Not interested. Lin Yi said faintly. I'm staying here to protect Meng Yao and Yushu. Xiao family's been working with some hidden house pie lately, and they've sent a couple of practitioners to protect Xiao family. I think they'll come looking for trouble sooner or later. Go Huli even brought a lion here to cause trouble. Brought a lion? Ling Shan paused. No way. Where's the lion? My golden class dog chased it up a tree, and it's still up there. Lin Yi smiled. I leveled up that dog. Ling Shan was speechless. Lin Yi really had nothing better to do, leveling up a golden class dog. But this also showed how strong Lin Yi was. Creating practitioners was no problem at all. Don't you have some medical knowledge? According to our research, this tomb might very well be the tomb of the folk medicine Saint Zhang Liju. Aren't you interested? Ling Shan started tempting Lin Yi, taking out the things Lin Yi was most interested in. There might be some ancient books in there. Of course, I can't give you the originals, but I can give you the copies. Ling Shan was a principals. She couldn't just use relics to please Lin Yi. He could look, but he definitely couldn't take them away. But Lin Yi wouldn't be able to use the originals even if he wanted them. Haha, not too interested. Lin Yi still wasn't interested. His old man had thousands of ancient books, and he couldn't even finish them all. Why would he look at other people's? Plus, he really didn't have the time. Going into the tomb would take him at least 10 days to half a month. Ling Shan didn't expect that even this wouldn't attract Lin Yi's attention. She was a little disappointed. Think about it a little more. Just think of it as protecting Miss Dumbo. It's dangerous in there. Aren't you afraid that Miss Dumbo will die? Then don't go, Lin Yi said. Anything else? No, nothing else. Ling Shan was a little disappointed, but there was nothing she could do. She couldn't force Lin Yi to go if he didn't want to. Think about it a little more. It's not that urgent. Maybe the Xiao family's problem will be solved by then. We'll talk about it later. With that, Lin Yi hung up. After hanging up, Lin Yi walked out of the room and into the living room. Lin Yi had sensed it when Go Huli came with a lion. There were curtains in Lin Yi's bathroom, but one could still see the outside of the villa through the gaps. But Lin Yi relaxed after seeing Yushu and General Weiwu come out. General Weiwu was more than enough to deal with a lion. Chapter 1181. She spilled the beans, I saw it. Lin Yi smiled. How's the lion now? I don't know. Let's go take a look together, see if it's dead or surrendered. Yushu was eager to know the result after hearing Lin Yi's words. Meng Yao wasn't interested at first, but after hearing Yushu and Lin Yi's words, she was curious as well. She stood up and followed them out of the villa. But when they walked out, they saw a spectacular scene. General Weiwu was leaning against the shade of a tree, and the lion was respectfully squatting beside General Weiwu. It was fanning General Weiwu with a broken piece of paper in its front paw. What? General Weiwu has a follower. Yushu's eyes widened in shock. Ha! Lin Yi wasn't surprised at this result. It was just a lion, after all. It was a piece of cake for General Weiwu to take care of it. Chill, bro. Now that you have 2 followers, you can go out without worry when we're at home. Yushu said happily. Now we have another guard. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile as well. A lion fanning a dog was something that could only be seen in cartoons, but it was happening right in front of her eyes. Meng Yao couldn't believe it. But then again, ever since Lin Yi moved into the villa, too many unbelievable things had happened in the house. This lion is a little weak, and it might not have surrendered wholeheartedly. It's just afraid of General Weiwu's aura, Lin Yi said faintly as he looked at the lion not far away. Oh, Yushu paused. This lion was faking its submission? Did that mean it wasn't very loyal? Yushu wasn't an idiot, and this was the case in real life. Some people were forced to submit to pressure and power, but in reality, they were waiting for the right opportunity to retaliate. They wouldn't go easy on their enemies. However, Yushu looked at the lion's eyes after hearing Lin Yi's words. Lin Yi's words weren't sincere at all. Yushu felt that Lin Yi's words made sense. She sighed. Then what should we do? We'll be able to faithfully look after our yard? As long as it isn't as strong as General Weiwu, it will still guard this place seriously. Lin understood that sometimes it didn't matter if one was sincere or submissive. As long as one's strength was there, the result would be the same. Oh, then let's keep it for now. Yushu nodded in satisfaction at Lin Yi's words. Hey, Lion, you need to protect the yard, okay? Don't let strangers in, or I'll get General Wei Wu to deal with you. Understand? Oh, the lion seemed to be quite intelligent and seemed to understand Yushu's words. Yu Feng was in a very good mood after breaking through to Mystic Mid-Phase. After thinking about it, he decided to give Lingshan a call and change his image today. Otherwise, he'd be too weak to let Lingshan see him beaten up like that. Lingshan called Lin Yi and got rejected by Lin Yi. She wasn't in a good mood and came out of the room with a dark expression on her face. How is it? Lingshan, did Lin Yi agree? Yu Qian asked worriedly, as if he was even more worried than Lingshan. No. Lingshan shook her head. I asked him to think about it, but he didn't reply. Man, if Lin Yi joined this mission, we'd have a higher chance. Yu Qian sighed as well. This mission is very dangerous. I don't want anything to go wrong. Me too, of course. Lingshan said. It looks like I'll have to keep begging him. Lingshan's phone rang again as they were talking, delighting her. She thought that was Lin Yi calling back, and that he'd changed his mind. But when Lingshan took out her phone, it was an unknown number. Hello, I'm Song Lingshan. Lingshan picked up the phone and said her name in a formal manner. Lingshan, it's Yu Feng. Yu Feng said excitedly. He thought that Lingshan's voice was really nice, like the sound of nature. Even a simple sentence like that was so charming. Yu Feng, why are you looking for me? Lingshan frowned, her face darkening. She didn't expect this Yu Feng to call her so soon. This guy was really shameless, losing face in front of her today, and he didn't feel embarrassed at all. He still had the face to call her. Haha, it's like this. I'm at the beach today, right? The scenery and environment here are quite nice, and I heard that you're on leave tomorrow, so I wanted to invite you to the beach and relax. Yu Feng said with a smile. Lingshan, you're under a lot of pressure from work. You can relax at the beach and enjoy nature. Let's have a picnic, what do you think? Lingshan was pissed off. Did this Yu Feng do a thorough investigation? He even knew that she was on leave tomorrow? How's your injury? Weren't you going to the hospital today? What? You're leaving already? Lingshan said faintly. Her meaning was clear. You were beaten up like that. Why didn't you just stay in the hospital for treatment? What were you doing out here? Lingshan, don't misunderstand. I didn't fight anyone today. I got beaten up on purpose. Yu Feng had already thought of what to say. In order to not lose face, he found a perfect excuse. Oh, you got people to beat you up on purpose? Lingshan paused. Was there an idiot like that in this world? Looking for a beating? Was he itching for a beating? Yes. Yu Feng said seriously, Lingshan, this is actually a method I came up with myself to train and level up. I call this method of leveling up cadence. What is the cadence? It's suppressing and showing off. Every time I reach a bottleneck, I'll use this cadence to level up. First, I'll suppress myself, and this means that I won't fight back. I'll just endure it. When I can't take it anymore, I'll explode and level up. Then you broke through? Lingshan asked faintly. Yeah, I broke through. Yu Feng said proudly. I'm a Mystic Mid-Phase now. Chapter 1182. I'll talk to Ma, right? I was Mystic Mid-Phase. I'm at Mystic Mid-Phase peak now. Yu Feng jumped in fright, remembering that he'd told Lingshan that he was one level stronger than her. He'd almost let it slip. Is that so? Congratulations, then. What did Lingshan do for a living? She knew that Yu Feng was lying the moment she heard it. It seemed like this guy was lying. He probably didn't have the strength of Mystic Mid-Phase before and was just about to break through, so he bragged to his grandpa that he was Mystic Mid-Phase. Now that he had just broken through, he almost exposed himself. Haha, I'm very experienced in leveling up. Lingshan, I heard that you're a rare genius, too. You're still a little weaker than me, but you're already very strong. Yu Feng said proudly. But if you want to know the profound of leveling up, I can help. I believe that with my guidance, you'll be able to break through quickly as well. Oh, Lingshan replied faintly. Breakthrough? Why didn't she ask him for help? What kind of crappy method was that? She had to get beaten up to break through? Lingshan didn't want that. It was so easy with Lin Yi's help. There was no pressure at all, no pain at all. What? Ling Shan, you're not interested in leveling up? Yu Feng paused. He thought that Ling Shan would be really excited after what he'd said. But Ling Shan's attitude was very calm, as if she didn't hear anything at all. That shouldn't be the case, right? Yu Feng thought that most people would be excited when they heard about the profound meaning of leveling up. This was very important to a warrior. The path of cultivation was full of hardships, and every step was going against the flow. Every breakthrough required a huge price. No one could get something without putting in the effort. So, leveling up was a huge temptation for a practitioner. But why didn't Ling Shan care? Yu Feng didn't understand. How could he have known that Ling Shan would be able to level up so easily with Lin Yi's help? With such a good leveling tool like Lin Yi, why would he need Yu Feng's profound? I have to work overtime tomorrow, so I won't be able to go. You should go yourself. Ling Shan said faintly. There's a case, and I have to stay. Yu Feng didn't know what to make of it. Ling Shan's one sentence had blocked all of his excuses. No matter what Yu Feng said, it was useless. Ling Shan had a job. She couldn't just give it up, could she? Is there anything else? Ling Shan asked. No, no more. Yu Feng said helplessly. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up, Ling Shan said, and put the phone on the table, letting out a long breath. She didn't know why, but Ling Shan felt a sense of disgust when she heard Yu Feng's voice. Who's calling? Ling Shan, you don't seem too happy? Yu Qian looked at Ling Shan curiously. House Yu's Yu Feng. I don't know what's going on, but my grandpa wants me to marry House Yu to House Yu. Ling Shan didn't hide anything from Yu Qian and told him her troubles. What? Yu Feng? Yu Qian froze, looking at Ling Shan in disbelief. You're saying that your old song wants to marry House Yu? What's going on? How would I know? Ling Shan rolled her eyes helplessly. Didn't I always say that the man in the future would be stronger than me? Grandpa remembered it, and I don't know how he got in touch with House Yu, saying that Yu Feng was stronger than me, so he made a deal with him privately. I didn't think that Yu Feng would come looking for me. But don't you like Linny? You and Yu Feng? Yu Qian asked, agitated. I don't like Yu Feng at all. Ling Shan shook her head. But Grandpa won't listen when I tell him, so I can only deal with it for a while. Hopefully, this Yu Feng will back off. I see. If that's the case, I'll talk to him when I see him and explain things to him. Hopefully, he'll give up on his own. Yu Qian, on the other hand, knew about the marriage between noble houses, but it wasn't impossible to cancel the marriage if both parents objected. And so, Yu Qian thought that since Yu Feng and Ling Shan hadn't broken up yet, he'd talk to him about it, and maybe he'd let go. They were both men, after all. If he could let go, what about Yu Feng? Yu Qian bro, it's best if you don't go. I don't have a good impression of this Yu Feng, but I don't think he's a good person to deal with. You should just ignore him. He'll probably give up after hitting a wall a few times. Ling Shan knew Yu Tian's temperament. She was afraid that he wouldn't be a match for Yu Feng if they really fought. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, Yu Qian said. Then, if he doesn't give up after a while, you'll talk to him again? Ling Shan had no choice but to delay. All right, if he still doesn't give up after a while, I'll talk to him. Yu Qian nodded. Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine, with House Lu and Fatty Lie's business backing it up, began to be sold on a large scale in the market without any pressure, and sales were rising steadily. Especially after the effects of the medicine were verified by the consumers, the sales volume doubled. Fatty Lie was overjoyed by the huge supply, but he had no choice but to take a loan and invest in the production line as soon as possible. From the looks of it, it wouldn't be long before the stock ran out, and the market would be out of stock. Although this would create a situation where the demand exceeded the supply, the consumers would also have negative feelings towards Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Being out of stock was always uncomfortable. And so, in order to prevent this from happening, Fatty Lie gathered people and started working overtime to increase production. From the looks of it, the new product hadn't even been put into production yet, and they had to make way for the injury medicine. Even if they increased production, they wouldn't have the extra production lines to produce the new painkillers. It was already good enough that they could supply the entire country with the injury medicine. This was something that Fatty Lie didn't foresee. He didn't think that the injury medicine would be so popular and affect the entire country. He originally only wanted to push it into the market in the province and nearby provinces, but he underestimated the network effect. As of now, everyone knew about Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Chapter 1183. House Kang Shakdonghai. House Kang's mansion. Looking at Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine being released into the market in large quantities, the Kangs were dumbfounded. Didn't I tell you to control the raw materials? What's going on? Where did Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company get so many raw materials? Dr. Kong looked at the news and smashed the teacup in his hand onto the floor. He yelled at Kong Guifeng. Kong Guifeng, tell me what's going on. Aren't you in charge of the raw materials? Dad, I did buy all the raw materials. I bought all the bad ones too. There shouldn't be any stock left in the market, Kong Guifeng said with a bitter face. Unless they started buying raw materials in large quantities a few years ago, the raw materials in the market would be monopolized by us. A few years ago? How is that possible? Did they prepare for a few years before releasing the product into the market? Do you think that's possible? Dr. Kong said angrily. I don't think it's possible either. But other than that, there's no other explanation. Kong Guifeng said helplessly. I've already asked all the raw material suppliers, and they don't have any stock left. I even offered to buy them at a high price, but they couldn't take it out. So this proves that they don't have any stock left. Out of stock? Is it a ghost? This Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine is constantly being sent into the market. More than what we have. That means you have everything you need. We can't even keep the cost down at this price. Miracle Dr. Kong humphed coldly. Maybe they're making a loss to attack us. Kong Guifeng said hesitantly. This is a common business tactic. Many people use it. They'll wait until our product has no market, and when they take over the entire market, they'll raise the price again. That way, they can recoup their previous losses. Oh, you're saying they're doing this on purpose? Did you amass so many goods just to attack us? Dr. Kong asked. That's possible. Kong Guifeng had been thinking about it for the past few days. He couldn't understand how Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company could fully distribute the goods in just a few days. Then let's discuss how we should deal with it. Dr. Kong asked with a frown. Grandpa, I have a good idea. Xiaolong had lost face earlier, so he spoke before Kong Mingming could. Oh, what good idea do you have? Tell me. Dr. Kong asked with a smile as he looked at his eldest grandson. Actually, he was more interested in his eldest grandson, Kong Xiaolong, even though Kong Mingming was quite capable. It's like this. I think that since Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company is making a loss, then we'll let them make a loss. On the surface, we'll do what we want and not adjust the price or the number of sales. Instead, we'll buy Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine in bulk. Xiaolong said, since our cost isn't enough, we'll buy their products in bulk and stock them up. When Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company can't take it anymore, we'll change the packaging and continue to market at the same price. We'll be able to make Miracle Dr. Guan lose a lot of money. That makes sense. Dr. Kong nodded. He felt that Xiaolong's words made sense, but he still looked at Kong Mingming. He wanted to see if his second grandson had any good ideas. Kong Mingming had some achievements recently, so Dr. Kong asked, what about Xiaoming? What do you think we should do? Grandpa, I don't agree with Big Brother's point of view. Kong Mingming was an idiot, but he'd gotten lucky recently. He made so many great achievements that he felt a little smug. That was why he went against his big brother. Oh, why? Dr. Kong asked quickly. That. Kong Mingming frowned. He was just objecting subconsciously. Why would there be a reason? But since his grandpa asked, he couldn't say he didn't know. He could only brace himself and start talking nonsense. Grandpa, think about it. You said it before, Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company couldn't have planned to buy these raw materials a few years ago. They already had this amazing medicine, so they should have put it on the market a long time ago. Why would they wait until now? A few years ago, they could even compete with our Dr. Kang's golden creation. Why would they wait? So this guess isn't reliable. Then why do you think so? Dr. Kong nodded. He felt that Kong Ming Ming's words were reasonable. I think this Guan Shuamin might have used some low-quality ingredients to replace the expensive ones. You should know that Guan Shuamin is an expert in the medical world. It's not impossible. Kong Ming Ming said if he used some low-quality ingredients, then the cost would be lower, and he wouldn't have to buy those expensive rare ingredients. You're talking nonsense, right? Didn't you get the prescription from them already? Are you saying that the prescription you got isn't accurate? Xiaolong didn't wait for Dr. Kong to speak and retorted. Besides, if we could change the ingredients on the prescription, we would have done it a long time ago. Don't forget that I'm also a medical student. Our Kong family's laboratory has been researching whether it's possible to replace the rare and expensive medicinal materials in the prescription with other medicinal materials. You think you can compare to Guan Shuamin? He's an expert, and you just graduated. Brother, it's good that you're confident, but too much confidence is just arrogance and conceit. Kong Ming Ming said, either way, I'm sticking to my own point of view. I got the prescription from them. That's true, but you can't guarantee that they won't change it when it's put into production. All right, stop arguing. Dr. Kong saw his two grandsons arguing, and he was a little annoyed. What time was this? And they were still arguing because of their own feelings. How could they deal with others if they weren't united? Xiaolong and Kong Ming Ming shut their mouths at the same time, but they still didn't give in. Xiaoming's words make sense, but the possibility isn't high. After all, this prescription can't be changed just like that. It's a miraculous prescription. How can it be changed so easily? Dr. Kong said, I think we should follow Xiaolong's suggestion and buy Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine in bulk. Chapter 1184. Going for wool and coming home shorn, don't be too happy. If we didn't cancel the engagement with the Xiao family, our house Kong would have been flying high by now. You were the one who opposed your brother's point of view. Actually, Xiaoming's point of view is right. You need to learn from him. Dr. Kong looked at Xiaolong's smug face and scolded him. Yes, Grandpa, I understand. Xiaolong's expression tensed up as he replied carefully. Grandpa, I still insist on my point of view. Kong Ming Ming heard his grandpa's words, and he didn't know where his courage came from. He forced himself to say this stubbornly. He knew that he couldn't back down now. He had to persevere, no matter if it was right or wrong. But he thought that he was still very lucky. Everything he did recently had been going smoothly, and he managed to get it right a few times by sheer luck. Grandpa has already made the decision. Xiaoming, you don't have to say any more. I know what you're thinking, but right now, the family's interest is the most important. Xiaolong's tone was kind, but the sarcasm in his words was very thick. Anyone could tell that he was saying that Kong Ming Ming's point of view was destroying the family's interest. Do whatever you want if you don't want to listen to me. You'll only remember what I said when you suffer. Kong Xiaoming felt like he couldn't keep his face any longer. He spat out those words and left the room. Sigh. Miracle Dr. Kong looked at his second grandson's back, his heart a little conflicted. Was his second grandson really a man of great potential? Every time he raised a point of view, it was so shocking, but every time it was right on the mark. Was it really a coincidence, or did he see something? However, the stocking up this time didn't affect the family's profits much. Even if Miracle Dr. Guan's medical company continued to sell at this price, the family wouldn't lose anything. At most, they would just have to spend a little more effort. With that thought, Miracle Dr. Kong relaxed a little. The lion went to House Chu to be a follower, and Go Huli wasn't happy about it. This was a tamed lion that she had spent a great deal of effort to buy. How could Go Huli be willing to let the Chu clan have it so easily? The more she thought about it, the angrier she got. She couldn't sleep the whole night. The next morning, Go Huli went to House Chu to ask for the lion back. But Go Huli didn't know what to do. After all, if she asked for the lion just like that, not only would they not give it to her, they'd even scold her. With Yushu's ruthlessness, she'd definitely scold her. At the entrance of House Chu's mansion, Go Huli tiptoed and peeked in. She saw the lion lying in the yard, not moving at all. Go Huli felt like it was a godsend. Go Huli smiled and walked toward the lion. Go Huli smiled and walked toward the lion. Lion, little lion, sweetheart, come back with me? Huli smiled and walked over to the lion. The lion raised its eyelids lazily and looked at Go Huli before lowering its eyelids. It didn't even care about Go Huli, not even bothering to make a sound. Awoo! Go Huli saw that the lion ignored her and lowered her voice to mimic the lion. She thought that since the lion was male, she'd be able to attract the lion's attention if she mimicked a lioness. But the lion didn't react at all. It didn't even look at Go Huli. Go Huli panicked, thinking that the lion didn't hear her. She raised her voice and roared again, "Awoo! Awoo!" But the lion still didn't care. Go Huli panicked even more, "Awoo! Awoo! Awoo! Awoo!" This time, she didn't attract the lion, but Yushu came out of the villa. Yushu thought that the lion was bored and came to teach it a lesson. But when she came out, she saw that it wasn't the lion, but Go Huli. "Oh!" Yushu looked at Go Huli confusedly. "Old woman, your lion is gone. So you're pretending to be a lion to get attention?" Go Huli heard Yushu's words and got angry from embarrassment. Pretending to be a lion? She didn't want to bring the lion back, but the lion didn't care about her at all. What did she do? Pretending to be a lion? "I'm going to bring the lion back." Go Huli humph. "Oh, do what you want then," Yushu said nonchalantly and went back to the villa. Go Huli was left here. She didn't know if she should leave or not. After a while, Go Huli stomped her feet and left angrily. She didn't have a choice. Yushu made it sound easy, but the lion wouldn't move. Couldn't Go Huli go and hug the lion? Go Huli thought about it and came up with an idea. The lion loved meat, especially fresh beef from the market. With that thought, Go Huli quickly went home and drove to the market. She bought a big piece of fresh beef and went back to Mingyao's villa. "Lion, lion, I bought your favorite beef. Want to go home with me?" Go Huli tempted the lion with the beef. Under the temptation of the beef, the lion looked up at Go Huli and stood up with a howl. Go Huli was overjoyed. An animal was an animal. Milk was a mother. She gave it food, so why wouldn't it go home with her? "Little lion, come home with me. I'll give you big fish and meat every day. I promise you'll eat well." Go Huli raised the bag of beef in her hand proudly. The lion stood up and walked to Go Huli. It raised its head and bit down, snatching the bag of beef from her hand. Go Huli was afraid that the lion would bite her hand and let go subconsciously. The bag of beef went into the lion's mouth. "Little lion, I've given you the beef. Come home with me," Go Huli said. But the lion turned around with the beef in its mouth and gave Go Huli a butt. The lion quickly ran to the door of the villa and scratched it with its front paw. After a while, the villa's door opened, and Yushu walked out. The lion gave the bag of beef to Yushu. Yushu took it and saw that it was full of fresh beef. She was overjoyed. "Little lion, where did you get this beef? I was just worrying about what to eat tonight. Now, I can make curry beef and potatoes." Chapter 1185. Chapter 1183. Diarrhea. "Thank you, old woman. You're such a nice person, sending meat to my house." Yushu waved her hand at Huli, who was livid with rage. "I'm so pissed." Go Huli was furious, but there was nothing she could do. Yushu carried the beef back to the villa with a smile. "Shield bro, Go Huli gave us some beef. See if it's okay." Lenny didn't go out, but he saw what happened from inside the house. He took the beef from Yushu and looked at it carefully, smelling it and licking it with his tongue. "It's okay, it's very fresh. I'll cook it for you tonight." "Oh, this old woman is so kind." Yushu clapped her hands. "But this piece is too big. We can't finish it. Let's cut off half and give it to the lion," Lenny said. "Okay." Yushu happily took the beef to the kitchen and cut off a big piece before tossing it to the lion. "Little lion, this is your reward. Good job, keep it up." The lion shook its head and bit the piece of beef, as if it was thanking Yushu. Go Huli, who was watching from the yard, almost fainted from anger. She was the one who bought the meat. Go Huli was so depressed that she wanted to vomit blood. This lion was so ungrateful. "Fine, since you're being unkind, don't blame me for being unkind." In her anger, Go Huli came up with an idea and drove the car back to the market. This time, she bought a big piece of pork but didn't leave immediately. She found a small pharmacy and bought a bottle of fruit tablets, a laxative. Go Huli left the pharmacy and found a place to rest. She crushed all the pieces of fruit and mixed them into the meat. She laughed and drove back to the villa area after the powder dissolved and couldn't be seen anymore. They arrived at House Chu's villa again, and Go Huli got off the car with the pork. She pretended to be impatient like before. "Little lion, I'm here to see you again. I bought you your favorite pork. Do you want to come back with me?" As she spoke, she waved the pork in front of the lion. This time, the lion did the same thing as before. It walked over and bit the plastic bag in Huli's hand, bringing it to the villa's door and knocking with its front paw. Yushu came out a while later, confused as she looked at the plastic bag in the lion's mouth. Was Go Huli an idiot? He had already suffered a loss once, and now he was suffering a second time? Was she addicted to suffering losses, or did she have a bad memory? But Yushu didn't say anything. She took the plastic bag from the lion's mouth and looked at Go Huli. "Thank you, old woman, for giving us food again. Why yaya? I'm so pissed." Go Huli pretended to be angry. Yushu came back to the living room with the plastic bag and asked suspiciously, "Shield bro, why did Go Huli give us food again? Is there a problem?" "Let me see." He took the meat from Yushu and smelled it. He wiped his hand on it and put it in his mouth. "It's a laxative." "Ah." Yushu was shocked and raged. "I knew Go Huli wouldn't be so nice. She gave us a big piece of pork after giving us beef. Isn't she an idiot? There's a problem. General Weiwu, come here for a second." He waved his hand at Weiwu. "Boss Lin," he called, and General Weiwu ran over, shaking its head at Lin. "Take this to Go Huli's kitchen. Don't let anyone see it. Leave it in the kitchen and come back." He ordered. "Woof woof." General Weiwu barked twice and left with the plastic bag in Lin Yi's hands. Yushu burst into laughter as she watched General Weiwu leave. "Wah, Shield bro, you're so bad. Shu hasn't even thought of how to deal with that old woman Go Huli, and you came up with such a bad idea. Wah, they're going to rob the toilet tonight." "Huh, that's Go Huli's fault." Lenny didn't think much of it. After all, he didn't do anything. The laxative was Go Huli's own doing. What did it have to do with him? Go Huli watched as Yushu entered the house and didn't come out again. She couldn't help but feel proud. It seemed like this idiot Yushu took the pork back. As long as they ate it, they'd have to go to the toilet. At night, Xiao family's dinner was very sumptuous. Today was Xiao family's nanny's first day. After Mrs. Yu left, Go Huli found a full-time nanny from a housekeeping company to take care of Xiao family's daily cleaning and cooking. On the first day, this nanny cooked a few dishes and showed off her culinary skills. This was to gain the Xiao family's approval. Go Huli was very satisfied with the home-cooked dishes on the table. This nanny wasn't bad. She'd keep her for now. Go Huli didn't plan on kicking her out. The entire house, Xiao, and the two masters from House Pie sat around the table and ate heartily. Everyone ate happily, especially Go Huli. Because of Go Huli, she taught House Chu a lesson today. No one in House Chu's villa would be able to sleep peacefully tonight. There was braised pork, double-cooked pork, and all kinds of home-cooked meat dishes on the table. To Xiao family, they had eaten too many delicacies. These home-cooked dishes were very cheap. Go Huli ate a lot and was very full. However, after the whole family ate and drank to their heart's content, the problem came. First, it was Xiao Wangba and Xiao Wangdao. Their stomachs began to growl. These two were young people and ate more, especially meat. So it was reasonable for them to be the first to react. And so, these two started running to the toilet. Next was Go Huli's turn. Because of her mood, Go Huli ate a lot, especially meat. So, she started running to the toilet as well. Then it was Xiao Ji, Xiao Ben, and Xiao Ben's wife. Finally, it was the two masters from House Pie. The two masters from House Pie ate a lot as well, but because of their strong physique, they waited until the last to react. Chapter 1186. Go Huli, dumbstruck seeing the Xiao family start to have diarrhea. Nanny Lu's face was as white as a sheet. Without a doubt, she was the only one who didn't eat with the Xiao family, and she was the only one who didn't have diarrhea. This meant that there was something wrong with the food she prepared. "Nanny Lu, what kind of food is this? Are you trying to kill us? Finally, the diarrhea came to an end, and Go Huli leaned on the sofa with a pale face. The rest of the Xiao family were also lying on the sofa in chairs, except for the two masters from House Pie. They were martial artists after all, and their bodies were stronger than normal people. But even so, their faces were pale, and there was sweat on their foreheads. As the saying goes, a man can't stand 3 splashes of shit. Big Madam, I don't know either. I used ready-made ingredients. The ingredients were bought by Young Master and Young Master from the supermarket. I was in charge of cooking. Nanny Lu answered very carefully. Although she didn't know why this happened, she couldn't avoid the responsibility since everyone in the Xiao family had a stomachache. Is that so? Wang Ba, Wang Dao, did you guys buy something that's not fresh? Go Huli turned her gaze to Wang Ba and Wang Dao. No, we bought it from the supermarket, and it's very fresh. We can't buy something that's not fresh. Wang Ba said, feeling wronged. Our Xiao family is not the same as before, and there are 2 masters from House Pie here. I couldn't buy processed meat. I bought the best. That's weird. Could it be that there are some things that can't be eaten together? Go Huli held her stomach and frowned. Wait, bro. Do you remember that when we bought meat, we didn't buy streaky pork, only the tenderloin? How did you make this braised pork? Wang Dao slapped his thigh. Yeah, we didn't buy streaky pork. Xiao Wangba suddenly remembered something. Annie Lu, where did this streaky pork come from? Did you buy it yourself? No. Nanny Lu felt wronged. The streaky pork is with the other ingredients in the kitchen. I'm still on probation and haven't gotten paid yet. How could I possibly spend my own money to buy meat? You're right. Where did the streaky pork come from? Xiao Ben felt that Nanny Lu didn't seem to be lying, and it was impossible for his son and the eldest family's son to join forces to lie. The only possibility was that there was something wrong. At first, Xiao Ben didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Wasn't it just diarrhea after running? But after listening to Annie Lu and her son's words, she suddenly felt that something was wrong. Second Master, I don't know either, Nanny Lu quickly said. By the way, there's still a large piece of streaky pork left in the kitchen. I haven't finished it yet. It's in the kitchen now. Why don't you go and have a look? Of course I have to go and take a look, Xiao Ben said solemnly, standing up first. Xiao Ji, Go Huli, Xiao Ben's wife, Xiao Wangba, and Xiao Wangdao also stood up and went to the kitchen. As expected, Xiao Ben saw a large piece of raw streaky pork in the fridge. It was wrapped in a plastic bag with a price tag on it. Today's date is written on the tag. It should be a fresh piece of meat. Xiao Ben picked up the pork and frowned. Huli, who was standing behind, froze when she saw the bag in Xiao Ben's hand. She stared at the bag as if she was struck by lightning. Her eyes widened. How could she not recognize this bag of streaky pork? She had bought it from the market before. She could still remember the price tag, clearly. At this moment, Huli finally understood why she and the entire Xiao family had diarrhea. It was because she put laxatives in the pork herself. Huli's face turned pale at the thought. But what Go Huli didn't understand was how the meat ended up in her kitchen. Didn't the lion give it to Yushu? Could it be that the meat could fly and came here by itself? Go Huli felt as if she had swallowed a fly. She was reaping what she sowed. This meat wasn't bought from the supermarket. It was bought from the market. I don't think Wang Ba and Wang Dao bought it together. Xiao Ben looked at the price tag and compared it with the labels on other supermarkets. Then he said, so, this piece of meat is very suspicious, but it shouldn't be the problem with the meat itself. This meat looks very fresh. It should have been tampered with later. Yes, you're right, brother. Xiao Ji nodded and said, second brother, look at the plastic bag. There's white powder. Could it be laxative? Xiao Ji pointed to the bottom of the bag. There was a fine white powder. It was just that if one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it. Mother Lu was scared. Master, I don't know. I didn't do it. I don't know whether it's you or not. Take this meat to the market tomorrow and ask the boss. Well, no. This piece of meat is very big and expensive. The boss will definitely have an impression of it. When the time comes, we could just ask who bought it. Xiao Ben had an idea. No need to ask. I bought the meat, Go Huli said with a sad face, her expression extremely ugly. Although it was unfortunate, Go Huli had to admit it. It was very strange after all, and she wanted Xiao Ben to analyze it for her. You bought it? Sister-in-law, you bought it. Xiao Ben paused. He looked at Huli strangely. He didn't believe that Huli would poison the Xiao family. Plus, Huli ate it herself. She was a victim too. You bitch. Are you trying to kill the Xiao family? Xiao Ji was enraged by Go Huli's words and slapped her across the face. Go Huli's vision was spinning, and she almost fell to the ground. Brother, what are you doing? Sister-in-law didn't do it on purpose. Didn't she eat it herself? Xiao Ben was speechless at his brother's temper. Wasn't he too quick to anger? As soon as Go Huli admitted it, he slapped her face. Then what's going on? Xiao Ji hemped coldly and looked at Huli. Chapter 1187. Go to the Xiao family. Xiao Ben listened to Go Huli's explanation and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. There was no doubt that this was done by someone from House Chu's villa. Xiao Ben knew Lin Yi's strength very well. It wouldn't be hard to sneak a piece of pork in a House Zhao's kitchen without anyone noticing. It seemed like Lin Yi had seen through Huli's tricks and was giving her a taste of her own medicine. Fuck, you useless bitch. You're such a waste. Xiao Ji slapped her again. I'm telling you, a lion is nothing. Second brother has already thought of a way to help you teach the Chu people a lesson. How could you do it on your own? Are you okay now? Did something happen? We're all in trouble with you. My stomach. Big brother, it's fine, this is a good thing. Luckily, sis-in-law bought laxatives. If it was poison, we'd be in the hospital right now. Xiao Ben smiled helplessly. Let's just forget about this. It's not a big deal for us, but we've dragged the two Pai masters into this. I'm fine. I have my martial arts to protect me. It's nothing. The older man didn't want to lose face because of this, so he waved his hand and said nonchalantly, people who practice martial arts have good bodies. That's good. Xiao Ben let out a breath of relief. I've let Elder Pai and Mr. Pai see us as a joke. It's nothing. Since there's nothing else, I'll be going back to my room to rest. Elder Pai left after saying that. He needed to go to the toilet right away. 3 days passed in a blink of an eye, and Huli didn't appear in the hospital again. It was as if she had forgotten about it. Other than Manager Zhang from the housekeeping company coming to Mrs. Yu's room with some compensation, no one else showed up. Gooden said that his boss was a great healer, and that he should have a way to heal her mother's leg, but his boss hadn't come to check it himself, nor had he come to give conclusion. Yuan was still a bit worried. Zhou Jiaming, do you think? That boss of yours, can he really heal Mom? Of course he can. Yuan, do you believe me? Just trust me, I won't lie to you. Gooden patted his chest. Okay. Yuan let out a breath of relief upon hearing Gooden's confidence. Yuan, the evil master of this lion, still hasn't appeared. I need to go get an explanation from her. We can't just get bullied for no reason. Gooden had been keeping track of the time these days. 3 days was up, and he couldn't sit still anymore. How about just forget it? I'm afraid that you're not their opponent and will cause more trouble. Yuan said with some worry. It had been a few days since the incident, and Yuan's mentality had also calmed down a little. Other than some sadness, there wasn't as much anger as before. That won't do. My boss said, if someone dares to bully us, then we have to bully them back, and we have to bully them twice as much. I can't lose face for boss. You're my friend. If you get bullied, it's the same as me getting bullied. I need to get an explanation. Gooden said, a little agitated. Man, be careful then. If they don't listen to reason, then forget it. Yuan didn't have a choice now, that Gooden insisted. These 2 days, Gooden had gotten the address of his employer from his mother. Yuan knew Gooden's personality, and she knew that she couldn't stop him even if she wanted to. Got it. I'll go get them now. If that bitch doesn't give me an explanation, I'll kill that lion with one punch. Gooden said and walked out of the room, looking for Go Huli's house. Yuan sighed as she watched Gooden leave. She didn't know if she should be happy or troubled. With Gooden by her side, naturally, they felt safer than before, but Gooden was so reckless, wanting to kill people for no reason at all. This made Yuan worried and troubled. She hoped that he didn't cause any trouble. Gooden was smarter this time. In order to avoid getting lost, He had a map of Songshan in his pocket, following the markings on the map to the Shao house's villa. Looking at the luxurious villa, Gooden was a little envious. This house was so grand. Even when he lived in Yuan Yuan's house, he felt that it was much more comfortable than the houses in the village. But now this villa looked like a palace. No wonder the people living here were so arrogant. But even if they were arrogant, they still had to take responsibility if their pet bit someone. Gooden didn't know anything about doorbells. In the village, people basically yelled to find people. And when they went to other people's houses, they just banged on the door. What doorbell? Is anyone there? Is anyone there? Gooden started banging on the iron fence outside the villa. Of course, as angry as he was at how unreasonable the mistress of the house was, he didn't know what she wanted, so he couldn't just break the fence. Gooden's voice was as loud as a megaphone, and everyone in the Shao family's villa heard him loud and clear. Is anyone there? Is there anyone in the villa? Gooden banged on the fence crazily again. The door of the villa finally opened. Shao Ji walked out of the villa. Who is it? Shouting in front of the Shao family's house. Do you want to die? It's me. Gooden pointed at Shao Ji. Where's Go Huli? Get her out here. Go Huli. Shao Ji's face darkened as he looked at Gooden, not knowing who he was. Who are you? Why are you looking for my wife? Oh, Go Huli's your wife. That's perfect. Get her out here. Gooden heard that Go Huli was Shao Ji's wife, and he knew that he'd come to the right place. Who are you calling a wife? Go Huli came with Shao Ji, and she was just called a wife by Yushu, and now Gooden was calling her a wife again. She was a bit pissed. You're here to cause trouble, aren't you? Chapter 1188. House Pie's Master Attacks. Your Go Huli? I'm looking for you. Gooden pointed at the iron door. Open it. Let me in. Open it. You're here to cause trouble, aren't you? Can't you see where you are? Is this a place you can do whatever you want? How dare you yell at me? Do you want to die? Go Huli naturally didn't think much of Gooden. You wicked old woman, you are indeed a little unreasonable. No wonder the lion doesn't have the slightest attitude of admitting its mistake after biting her. Gooden looked at Huli's arrogant face, and he knew that she didn't feel guilty at all about her mother getting bitten by the lion. The lion bit someone? You're here to cause trouble for that cleaner? Go Huli's face darkened. She knew why Gooden was here. The lion had only bitten one person since entering the villa. Naturally, Go Huli knew who it was. I'm not here to cause trouble. I'm here to demand an explanation. Your lion bit someone. Why didn't you go apologize? Don't you have any conscience or morals? Gooden pointed at Huli and questioned. Get lost. You're not welcome here. Go Huli was still pissed about the lion, and Gooden was here again. Thinking about the lion, she got even angrier. She waved her hand impatiently, wanting to chase him away. You're still here? Shao Ji thought it was something serious, but it was just the family of a cleaner, coming to demand an explanation. Shao Ji waved his hand as well. Didn't I pay you guys money? What? You think it's too little? It's not about the money. It's about the attitude. I'm here to demand an explanation. Gooden didn't expect this family to be this unreasonable. The women were unreasonable, and the men were unreasonable. They were all arrogant bastards. Don't do this the hard way. Scram now, and I'll let this go. But if you don't leave now, don't blame me for being rude. Shao Ji hemphed coldly. Don't you know where you are? How dare you act like this? It seems like your whole family is unreasonable. Gooden didn't want to waste time with someone like this. If that's the case, I won't bother you guys anymore. Hand over the lion. I'll kill it with one punch, and I'll leave. Ha! Go Huli smiled coldly. The lion isn't here. What can you do even if it's here? You want to beat me to death? Stop bragging. I won't bite you to death. Shao Bin didn't believe Gooden too. He smiled coldly and turned around to go back to the villa with Huli, ignoring Gooden. All right, since you won't let me in, I'll go find it myself. With that, Gooden pulled with his hand, and the iron fence seemed to be made of soft mud. It was torn apart without any resistance. After tearing down the bars, Gooden walked in as if he didn't care about Shao Ji and Go Huli at all. Shao Ji and Go Huli were stunned. They thought that Gooden was just a relative of the cleaner, and a small character like this wasn't someone the Shao family would care about. But this Gooden suddenly turned into a master, and that thick iron fence was like soft mud in his hands. This scared the hell out of Xiao Ji and Huli. Of course, they were people who had seen the world, and they knew that martial arts practitioners were powerful. Could this person be a practitioner as well? Xiao Ji panicked and said to Huli, "Let's go. Find a master's from House Pai." Huli didn't dare linger, following Xiao Ji up the stairs. Xiao Ji called out as he ran, "Not good, Elder Pai, Mr. Pai. Someone's here to cause trouble for the Xiao family. Please help us." Elder Pai and Mr. Pai were practicing when they heard Xiao Ji's call. They frowned. Could it be that the Xiao family was in some trouble? After Elder Pai and Mr. Pai came to the Xiao family, the Xiao family treated them like they were their ancestors, serving them with good food and drinks. House Pai had told them that they would only ask for help if there was a problem that the Xiao family couldn't handle, but there hadn't been any trouble recently, and it made them feel a little embarrassed. Now that someone was here to cause trouble, it was the perfect chance for Elder Pai to show off his skills. But Elder Pai was a little worried. Was this a normal gangster or a real master? If it was a real master, then he'd be able to handle it. But dealing with a gangster would be lowering his status. What's going on? Head of the Xiao family. Someone's here to cause trouble? Elder Pai pushed the door open and asked, "Old Pai, help." The person who came is also a master. With just a casual tug, he tore the iron bars apart. It was as easy as playing with mud. Xiao Ji quickly said, "Oh, the iron bars at the entrance were all torn apart?" Elder Pai furrowed his brows. He knew how thick the iron fence in front of the mansion was. If someone could tear it apart, it would be impossible for a normal person to do so. This person must be a cultivator. He was at least golden class early phase, too. Was he a spiritual practitioner or a physical practitioner? With that thought, Elder Pai turned to Mr. Pai. "Let's go see what's going on." "Thank you, Elder Pai." Xiao Ji naturally breathed out in relief. No matter how strong this person was, with Elder Pai here, it was a piece of cake. Elder Pai brought Mr. Pai downstairs, bumping into Gooden, who was walking up the stairs. He looked around, searching for the lion. "It looks like you're here to cause trouble." Elder Pai stood in front of Gooden, asking faintly. He couldn't tell Gooden's strength right now, and whether it was a spiritual practitioner or a physical practitioner, one couldn't tell unless they used their practitioner's arts or attacked. Of course, that was excluding people like Lin Yi who had a golden finger. "Who are you? You're the helper that the men and women hired?" Gooden looked at Elder Pai oddly. "Why are they so dumb? Why did they hire an old man? All right, get out of my way. I still need to find the lion." "How dare you disrespect Elder Pai?" The young man beside Elder Pai was enraged. Elder Pai was a man of status. He had some status in House Pai, and he was Mr. Pai's elder. Mr. Pai wasn't happy with Gooden's disrespect. He wanted to teach this idiot a lesson, and so he sent a slap towards Gooden's face. Chapter 1189. Chapter 1187. The tragedy of a misunderstanding. What he didn't expect was that Gooden didn't seem to care at all. He grabbed Mr. Pai's hand and pulled it lightly to the side, sending Mr. Pai flying out from the third floor, crashing into the marble coffee table in the living room with a loud thud. It was quite a heavy fall, and he fainted right away. Mr. Pai was a mystic early phase. He was quite a powerful being. Not to mention falling from the third floor. Even if he fell from the fifth floor, he would still be fine. Especially for someone like him who practiced external martial arts. His physical fitness was incomparably tyrannical. But today, he'd failed miserably. 1. He'd underestimated his foe and was thrown off the building by Gooden. When he reacted, it was already too late. Plus, how strong was Gooden? Even if he reacted, he wouldn't be able to compete with Gooden's strength. Gooden had even thrown him with hidden energy, and there was no reason for him not to faint. Gooden's sudden move froze Elder Pai. He didn't expect Gooden to be this strong, throwing Mr. Pai out in one move. While it was part of him underestimating his foe, it also meant that this person wasn't weak. More importantly, Gooden had made his move in an instant, and Elder Pai didn't even have time to see what level Gooden was before he pulled his hand back. Elder Pai was regretting it. It was his fault for not paying attention. But the more he thought about it, the angrier he got. He'd lost face in front of Junior. Kid, which force are you from? Are you here to have sex? Elder Pie decided to investigate Gooden's background first. Old man, I'm here to find the lion, not to have sex. As for that guy just now, he was the one who hit me first, that's why I threw him out. Gooden was a reasonable man. Give me the lion, I'll kill it with one punch, and I'll leave now. Kid, I think you don't know your place. You dare make such a request in front of me? Elder Pie raged. Good, very good. You have guts. In front of this old man. Not many people dare to be so arrogant. You really don't put me in your eyes. Brat, no matter who you are, you have to pay the price today. Old Pie saw that Gooden didn't give him any face, and he got even more pissed off. This was blatant disrespect. He wasn't a normal person in House Pie, and he was about to break through to Earth class. How could he be looked down upon by a kid here? Gooden looked at Elder Pie, confused. I don't even know who you are, and you keep calling me old man. Are you trying to help the lion, or are you just bored? If you have nothing better to do, then go away. I don't want to beat you up. Why yeah? I'm Pie Yang Yang. Elder Pie was pissed off. The guy wanted to beat him up, but he didn't. How many years had it been? He was one of the top figures in the hidden houses, and he'd never been humiliated like this before. And so, he announced his name, someone that even the 8 noble houses had to give him some face. Huh, Gooden paused. You're itching for a beating? Gooden's thoughts were a mess. This old man really had nothing better to do, coming here to meddle in other people's business. The reason was that he was itching for a beating. Gooden was a practical man, but he was in a bit of a dilemma today. This old man was stopping him from going to the lion just because he was itching for a beating. Wasn't itching to get beaten up, but he didn't have anything to do with this guy, and he didn't want to beat him up. But, from the looks of it, if he didn't get rid of this old man, he wouldn't let him go to the lion. Gooden had no choice but to ask, Are you itching for a beating? That's right. I'm Pie Yang Yang. Elder Pie saw the awkward and troubled look on Gooden's face, thinking that he'd heard of his name before. It seemed that his name was quite useful, after all. In the common world, he was a very powerful existence, and all the practitioners knew about it. This made things easier. Since this Gooden knew him, he'd tell him who his master was and where he came from. If he was from a small sect or a small noble house, then he'd help House Pie extort some money from them. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to extort money from them. Pie Yang Yang thought that if he could extort a sum of money from them, the patriarch would definitely be very happy. Man, I didn't want to hit you, but since you're itching for a beating, then I have no choice but to beat you up first. Otherwise, you wouldn't have let me go to the lion. Gooden sighed helplessly before raising his fist and punching at Yang Yang's face. Yang Yang didn't understand what Gooden was talking about, and just as he was thinking about what he meant, Gooden's huge fist came smashing at him, making him see stars. Pie Yang Yang was a mystic late-phase peak master, and his defense was quite strong as well. Normal attacks were useless against him, unless it was an opponent of a higher level. Gooden, however, was an exception. After a few punches, Yang Yang was stunned. I'm Pie Yang Yang. I'm Pie Yang Yang. I'm not itching. Yang Yang finally realized what was going on. This brat in front of him thought his name was itching for a beating. After Pie Yang Yang figured it out, he quickly yelled out while protecting his vitals. It hurt so much. While Pie Yang Yang felt humiliated and indignant, he was also a little shocked. He knew how strong he was, and the person who could beat him up so badly had to be at least in the middle phase of the mystic class. This kid in front of him was this strong? But the next moment, Yang Yang was even more shocked. He heard a crisp crack, and his right leg started hurting. Yang Yang realized that his leg was broken by Gooden. To be able to break a mystic late-phase peak master's leg, even after protecting his vitals, what kind of terrifying level was his own strength? Was he beyond mystic late-phase peak? Chapter 1190. Chapter 1188. Shout, family's trouble. I'm sorry, I couldn't control my strength. Gooden scratched his head, embarrassed. I didn't want you to kill me, so I controlled my strength very carefully, but I didn't expect your leg to be this weak. I accidentally broke it. What? Yang Yang couldn't believe his ears. This was it, and the guy was holding back? He controlled his strength very carefully because he didn't want him to kill him. Didn't that mean that the guy's true strength was even stronger than what he saw? What kind of monster did the Shao family provoke? This was way too strong. My God, what kind of monster did the Shao family provoke this time? It's a little too valiant. Regardless of whether Gooden was telling the truth or not, whether he was just bragging or hiding his strength, just what he had shown so far was already much stronger than Yang Yang himself. If Pai Yang Yang were to fight against an expert of the same level, he wouldn't have the confidence to injure his opponent when the opponent was fully defending himself. Perhaps neither of them could win, but it was also impossible to injure one of them. That was why Pai Yang Yang was overwhelmed with shock. This place was truly crouching tigers and hidden dragons. A random idiot like youth already possessed such formidable strength. It's fine. You're Mystic late phase peak, right? My boss said that this level has self-healing capabilities, so it'll be easier for you to recover. You'll be fine after a few days. Good and comforted. Don't worry. But it's not my fault. You said I came to find a lion, and you just had to cause trouble, asking me to beat you up. Man, the world really is full of surprises. Yang Yang heard Gooden's words and couldn't spit out a mouthful of blood. His eyes rolled back, and he fainted. He'd never felt so humiliated since becoming famous. But what could he do? Yang Yang felt that he wasn't a match for Gooden at all. Xiao Ji and Huli were stunned as well. What kind of terrifying guy was this? Even a peak late phase Mystic class master was no match for him. Could he be an Earth class master? Thinking of this, Xiao Ji's legs went limp. The Xiao family had just gotten a little better. Why did such a terrifying person suddenly appear? Xiao Ji was furious and worried as he slapped at Go Huli. You bitch, look at what you've done. It was just a stupid lion, wasn't it? Did he cause trouble? Did you bite someone you shouldn't have? Go Huli was scared out of her wits. Xiao Ji hit her, but she didn't dare to complain. She covered her face and lowered her head. Go Huli was helpless. She knew such a powerful person, and even the hidden house pies masters weren't his match, and she still wanted to be a cleaner. Even becoming a great bandit would make money faster than this. If you were short of money, you could just send this person to the noble houses to ask for a favor. I'm sure none of them would dare refuse. Even house, you would have to be respectful to this person, wouldn't they? Don't you think I have nothing better to do? Great. I'm really unlucky this time. Hero, spare us. No matter how much money you want, we, the Xiao family, will give it to you. Please have mercy and let us go. Xiao Ji was the typical type of person who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Gooden had given him too much of a shock. Even the hidden house pies masters weren't his match, so what else could he do? Hurry up and beg for mercy. Yeah, didn't you want an explanation? I was wrong. I'm not a good master of the lion. I deserve to be beaten. With that, Huli started slapping herself on the face, making a loud sound. If you said that earlier, I wouldn't have come up, right? Aren't you just wasting time? Gooden thought that his boss was right. In front of absolute power, these people were nothing but clowns. Gooden humphed. Where's the lion? Call the lion out. I'll kill it with one punch, and we'll forget about this. Go Huli didn't doubt that Gooden could kill the lion with one punch. Even a master like Pai Yang Yang was heavily injured, let alone a lion. But the problem was that the lion wasn't here. Go Huli said carefully, Hero, the lion isn't in the villa now, it's gone. Gone? Is it because you saw it did something wrong and decided to help it get away? Gooden glared angrily. Why? Go Huli paused. Was there something wrong with her? Why would she help a lion escape? But she didn't dare say that to Gooden. Who knew what kind of temper this guy had? He might just kill her with one punch. She smiled bitterly. Hero, that lion ran away on its own. It has nothing to do with us. Sir, if you're looking for the lion, I'll tell you where it is. Just go there and find it. Xiao Ben, who'd been hiding in the dark, finally came out. When he saw Gooden's strength, he felt a chill in his heart. The Xiao family was really unlucky this time, encountering such a strong enemy. What should he do? But as he continued to observe, he realized that Gooden only wanted to find a lion, not cause trouble for the Xiao family. What happened with Pai Yang Yang was just a misunderstanding, and this old Pai had been wronged. So Xiao Ben was thinking, Could he turn this bad thing into a good thing? Suddenly, he thought of a good idea to divert the trouble to others. The lion ran away, but it went to House Chu's villa. Wasn't Gooden looking for the lion? Then he'd go to House Chu's villa, and there'd be conflict with the Chu people. Then he'd beat up Lin E2, and it'd be best if he crippled him. That way, he'd get his revenge for the Xiao family. Xiao Ben felt that he really was a genius. Even the ancient Zhuge Liang couldn't compare to him, right? No wonder even Big Brother, the patriarch, had to listen to his words. He had the strength. Oh, where's the lion? Gooden turned to Xiao Ben. That lion's a bit arrogant, and now that it found a stronger master, it's ignoring us. I heard that the lion has a golden class dog as its boss, Xiao Ben said solemnly. It wasn't a secret that House Chu had a golden class dog, and anyone in the noble houses would know about it. What? Golden class dog? There's a golden class dog? Gooden's eyes went wide, but he waved his hand after some thought. Who cares what class it is? If it dares to protect the lion, I'll kill it too. Chapter 1191. Gooden and Yushu before. Huli was a bit annoyed that her man, the head of the house, had to discuss everything with Xiao Ben. Who was the head of the house now? Wasn't this the same as Xiao Ben being in charge? But now, Huli truly admired Xiao Ben. He was too strong, too evil. That's right. The owner of that family is very powerful and powerful. You have to be careful, hero. He's very protective. I'm afraid you're not his match. Xiao Ben said, even if he's protective, he needs to give me an explanation. Gooden raged. If they dare to do that, I'll kill them with one punch. Ugh, then you'll be doing the people a favor. Xiao Ben smiled. That family is doing whatever they want in this villa district. It's already a big deal. If you can kill them, everyone will thank you. Tell me the address. I'll go meet them right now. Gooden wasn't an idiot, but he was a simple man. Whatever Xiao Ben said, he believed it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been scammed by Xiaoka until he was penniless. Let's go, Mr. Warrior. I'll send you off and show you the way. Xiao Ben made a welcoming gesture as he spoke respectfully. Gooden came out of the Xiao family villa and ran to the Chu villa according to Xiao Ben's directions. The Xiao family, on the other hand, started laughing happily as they watched Gooden leave. Brother, you're really something. Sending such a strong guy to cause trouble for House Chu. Even Lin, you wouldn't be a match for him. Xiao Ji gave him a thumbs up. Of course, I'm not his opponent. Xiao Ben smiled. It'd be best if their conflict gets more intense and they kill that Lin Yi. Then we can take over House Chu's company. The Xiao family had always wanted Peng Zhan's assets, and it was a sore point that they couldn't get last time. Now that they had House Pai's support, the Xiao family naturally wanted to regain their face, but they never had the chance to do so. Now that Gooden was here, even if Lin Yi didn't die, he'd be heavily injured, and they could make their move on House Chu. Brilliant. Second brother. Xiao Ji nodded. Right, the two masters from House Pai. Big brother, almost forgot about them if you didn't mention it. Hurry up and send them to the hospital. Don't let anything happen to them. They are the support of our Xiao family. With that, Xiao Ben ran back into the villa. The two masters from House Pai might not be a match for Gooden, but they were more than enough to deal with the other noble houses. Therefore, Xiao Ji quickly dialed the emergency number and called an ambulance. Gooden ran all the way to House Chu's villa, and, as expected, he saw a lion and a dog on the lawn. The dog seemed to be training the lion, making it jump up and down. This dog wasn't simple. Gooden looked at the dog. He couldn't tell how strong the dog was, but it didn't seem weak. Otherwise, a lion wouldn't be this obedient. Gooden was born in a village, and he often hunted in the mountains. He knew the habits of animals. This lion was afraid of a dog, so there was a problem. Not far from the dog and lion stood two beautiful girls. One was tall and slender, while the other was slightly buxom. The slightly buxom girl was giving instructions to the dog, as if she was telling the dog the training plan for the lion. Gooden's face reddened as he looked at the two beautiful girls. Why were the girls in the city so beautiful? But Gooden only took one look before moving his eyes away. Don't look at indecent things, that was what his dad told him. When Gooden was very young, his dad always told him that farmers shouldn't find wives that were too pretty, or they wouldn't be able to keep them. Gooden knew his place, too. He had some strength in his hands, but he wasn't handsome, smart, or brave. Finding Yun was already a blessing from 8 lifetimes. He didn't dare think about girls that were too pretty, but Gooden was a bit puzzled. Didn't they say that the owners of this house were all bad people? How could such pretty girls be bad people? Gohuli did look like an old hag, sharp and mean, but these 2 girls in front of him were too cute and pretty. They didn't look like bad people at all. Looking at the lock, Gooden knocked on the door. He really couldn't do anything to these 2 pretty girls, even though he knew that not all pretty girls had good hearts. For example, that Xiaoka he met at the train station, wasn't she just a liar? But Gooden thought that he should try to be polite before resorting to violence. He hoped that these 2 girls would be reasonable. Who are you looking for? Yushu was in the middle of training the lion to guard the villa when someone knocked on the door. She turned around to see a plainly dressed young man standing outside the villa's door. She asked, startled, "I'm looking for this lion. This lion bit my friend's mother, and I'm here to demand an explanation. Let me deal with this lion, and I'll let this go." Gooden, on the other hand, didn't make a move right away. After all, he knew that this was a bit complicated. The lion might have come here, but the bite was in the Shao villa. It had nothing to do with these 2 girls, so he didn't have anything to do with them. He just wanted to get the lion back. Lion? Bit your friend's mother? That's impossible. This lion hasn't left our house since coming here. Why would it bite your friend's mother? Are you sure you're not mistaken? Yushu didn't know what Gooden was talking about. This lion belongs to Gohuli, right? My friend's mother is a cleaner at Gohuli's house, and she got bitten by this lion. I'm here to demand an explanation. Gooden explained. Fuck. Since she got bitten at Gohuli's house, you can go get an explanation from Gohuli. Why are you looking for a lion? Why are you bickering with a beast? If it weren't for that evil master, this lion wouldn't have bitten your friend's mother. Yushu didn't want to waste time talking to Gooden anymore, so she waved her hand. She's already apologized and paid the compensation. Now we only need this lion. Give it to me, I'll kill it with 1 punch. Gooden was a bit narrow-minded. He felt that Yushu was right, but this lion was still ferocious. Chapter 1192. Chapter 1190. Call him over. If it weren't for Gooden's honesty, Yushu wouldn't be talking to him this much. So you're saying that you're going to protect this lion? Gooden frowned, thinking that this girl was quite domineering. It seemed that he had to use force after saying no. Meng Yao frowned as well. As far as she was concerned, this was a bit hard to handle. She was right, but Gooden was an honest person, and if he really wanted to cause trouble for the lion, it would make sense. Mister, this lion is just an animal. It doesn't know who to bite. Without the owner's permission, it wouldn't bite. Meng Yao explained, Look, it's in my house now, it won't bite. Gooden was speechless. He wasn't good with words, and Meng Yao and Yushu's words made him speechless. But if he really turned around and left like this, he wouldn't want to just let the lion go like this. Even if they were right, should he just let the lion go like this? Gooden sighed. How about this? This animal bit my friend's mother's leg, so I'll break its leg? No. Yushu panicked. It wasn't easy to get a guard in the house, and if his leg was broken, what was he supposed to do? Seeing that she couldn't get through to Gooden, Yushu got a little angry. She wasn't an easy person to talk to. She didn't want to talk to Gooden anymore. If you don't leave, I'll get the lion's boss to teach you a lesson. The lion's boss? Gooden blinked. This lion has a boss? That's fine. Since it's the boss, I'll get the boss for his lackey's mistakes. This is the lion's boss, General Weiwu. If you don't leave, I'll open the door and let the dog out. Why are you so stubborn? Yushu pointed at General Weiwu, threatening Gooden. This dog? Gooden looked at General Weiwu. It wasn't that he looked down on it, but he'd killed countless animals before. Why would he be afraid of a dog? So he said, Open the door and let it out. I can even break its legs. Gooden was a very honest man. He didn't come for the money. He just wanted an explanation. Like many other victims, he just wanted the perpetrators to pay the price and get an explanation. As for money, it was secondary. Come in if you dare. Yushu wouldn't open the door for Gooden. Gooden didn't want to use force, But since Yushu was being unreasonable, he wouldn't go easy on her. Gooden gripped the iron fence with both hands, and with a slight tug, the fence broke just like the one in front of the Shao family's villa, as if the steel was soft. Holy shit! Yushu's eyes went wide. You that strong? General Weiwu was very lazy at first, but after seeing Gooden's sudden display of strength, he was shocked. He stood up straight and looked at Gooden cautiously. This man was very dangerous. Gooden looked at the broken fence and estimated that he might not be a match for him. Gooden didn't dare attack first, standing in front of Meng Yao and Yushu. He had to protect them, and as for the lion, he wouldn't be able to protect it. General Weiwu's actions, naturally, didn't escape Yushu's eyes. Looking at the way General Weiwu acted, Yushu guessed that even General Weiwu wouldn't be a match for Gooden. How could Yushu let Gooden get to General Weiwu when she saw him coming for her? She called out, "Wait!" Gooden was about to grab General Weiwu when he was startled by Yushu's shout. He subconsciously stopped and raised his head. "What are you doing? Do you want me to hit a dog or a lion?" Gooden, naturally, thought that Yushu saw his strength and didn't want General Weiwu to do anything. "Wait, if you want to touch this dog, you need to get permission from the dog's boss." Yushu felt that the only way to deal with this person was to call Lin Yi. "This dog's boss? Isn't this dog yours?" Gooden paused, a little confused. He didn't expect this dog to have a boss. "Of course this dog is mine, but it has a boss too." Yushu said, "This dog's boss is very strong, and if he knows you hit the dog, he won't let you go. You might be able to break the iron fence, but it's just a small trick for Shield Bro. Last time, my boobs got caught in the fence, and it was Shield Bro who helped me break it open." Yushu said proudly, and accidentally said too much. Shoo! Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Yushu's words. Why did she have to bring this up? Wouldn't she be a joke? As expected, Gooden's face turned red from Yushu's words. This girl was too bold, wasn't she? How could she say something like this? Gooden's face turned red, and he said helplessly, "All right, call the dog boss over. I'll talk to the dog boss, okay?" Gooden was really getting a headache from Yushu's words. When he went to the Shao family was acting all high and mighty, so it was easy to deal with. Gooden could just make a move and deal with it. But now, they were just talking, and Gooden didn't have the face to hit these two pretty girls. Plus, they didn't have much to do with this. Gooden was a man who knew right from wrong, and naturally, he wouldn't hit people for no reason. But the problem was, he could be reasonable, but this girl in front of him was unreasonable. Gooden was the dumbest, and he couldn't beat her in an argument. And so, after going around and around, she didn't look for the lion anymore, but Shield Bro. "Shield Bro's here, and you'll have to submit. I advise you to leave now, or I won't care if Shield Bro beats you up." Yushu tried to scare him. "You've already destroyed our villa. Do you know what happened to the person who destroyed our villa's gate last time?" "No." Gooden shook his head. "Shield Bro killed him with one punch." Yushu said, "Ugh." Gooden thought to himself, why is this so similar to his style? They both like to kill people with one punch. But Gooden wasn't afraid. "I'm just asking for an explanation. Go get that Shield Bro." Chapter 1193. Do you know him? Gooden was speechless after hearing Yushu's words. Could this dog talk? Did this girl watch too many cartoons? Lin Yi was practicing, so he didn't pay attention to what was going on in the yard. Lin Yi, naturally, knew that Yushu and Meng Yao were training the lion in the yard. There wasn't any danger, and General Weiwu would warn him if there was any. Hearing General Weiwu's voice, Lin Yi quickly stopped his practice and returned to reality. Before General Weiwu could walk in, he quickly walked out of the villa and met General Weiwu. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi asked as he walked. It seemed that the yard wasn't as dangerous as he thought it would be. Meng Yao and Yushu didn't seem to be hurt at all. "Shield Bro, there's a bumpkin here looking for trouble." Yushu pointed at Gooden. "Trouble?" Lin Yi paused and looked in the direction Yushu was pointing at. He froze. Boss." Gooden's eyes were wide open as he looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. He didn't expect to see Lin Yi here. Gooden, you're here?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Gooden probably didn't explain things clearly, and Yushu thought that he was looking for trouble. Boss, I finally found you. Gooden was beyond excited. He ran over and hugged Lin. Boss, this is great. I finally found you. Lin, he thought that Gooden came here with the address old Lin gave him. He didn't know that Gooden was actually here for the lion. Lin, he thought so, but Yushu and Mengyao looked at the scene in front of them curiously. They didn't know what was going on. What's going on? Mengyao looked at Lin, Yi, and Gooden, confused. Did these two know each other? Oh, I knew it. This person will definitely surrender to Shield Bro. Sister Yao Yao, you see, I was right? I'm Prophet Shu. Yushu said proudly after some thought. Mengyao didn't know what to say, but she had to admit that Yushu's sixth sense was pretty accurate. By the way, why are there so many geniuses here? The old man said that you left a few days ago. Lin Yi asked curiously. Lin Yi knew that Gooden wasn't weak and wouldn't make any mistakes, but he was late by so many days. He didn't know if he was in trouble or not. Boss, I got scammed when I got off the train. Gooden said bitterly, not only did I lose the money, but she also took the address. So I couldn't find you. Oh, then how did you find me? You found that scammer? Lin Yi paused. He didn't think that Gooden would have this kind of encounter, getting scammed right after getting off the train. But then again, it wasn't that strange for Gooden to get scammed. After all, he hadn't seen the world before, and it was his first time going out. It was inevitable that he would get scammed. No, I came here to talk to the lion, but I didn't think I'd meet you here, boss. Gooden paused. Boss, you're not this dog's boss, are you? Dog? Lin Yi paused and looked at where Gooden was pointing. He smiled. I guess so, ugh. I see. Gooden was in a tough spot. If this dog was under someone else's protection, then Gooden would have killed him with a single punch if he tried to stick his neck out. But facing Lin Yi, his boss, he didn't dare do anything. Although he wanted to talk to Mrs. Yu, he couldn't do it to his boss. Right, you said you wanted to talk to the lion. What happened? Lin Yi remembered what Gooden said and asked. It's like this, Gooden didn't hide anything and told everything to Lin Yi. You're saying that you injured the two masters from House Go Huli? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry after hearing Gooden's story. Before, Lin Yi and Faubert had studied the two masters from Shao family. Although Lin Yi was confident that he could fight the mystic late phase peak physical practitioner to a draw, he wasn't confident that he could defeat him. Gooden solving the problem just like that was out of Lin Yi's expectations. Yeah, I didn't want to beat him up, but that old man begged me to beat him up, saying that he was itching for a beating. So I had no choice but to beat him up, but I wasn't careful, and I broke his leg. Gooden scratched his head and said embarrassedly, he wasn't itching for a beating. His real name is Pai Yangyang. Lin Yi really sympathized with Yangyang. This guy got hit even when he was lying down, getting beaten up just because of his name. He was too unlucky. Lin Yi knew Pai Yangyang's name from Faubert long ago, so he figured it out right away. Ha ha! Yushu burst into laughter. Pai Yangyang. I'm dying of laughter. You actually thought he was itching for a beating? Meng Yao, on the other hand, didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Pai Yangyang. Why did this guy have a name like that? His name is Pai Yangyang? Gooden only reacted after hearing Lin Yi's explanation. He wasn't itching for a beating, was he? I'm so sorry for this. He didn't fight back? Lin Yi looked at Gooden, his face a little weird. Lin Yi believed that Gooden could break Pai Yangyang's leg, but breaking Yangyang's leg without any resistance at all? Why was this so weird? Did Yangyang just let Gooden hit him instead of fighting back? No, he was protecting his body the whole time. Gooden said, You're really lucky. Lin Yi shook his head with a bitter smile, but he didn't feel guilty at all for injuring Pai Yangyang. So be it. It had nothing to do with him anyway. Shield Bro, you know him? He's your follower? Yushu could tell from the conversation between Lin Yi and Gooden that they knew each other before, and they seemed to be quite close. Yeah, we've known each other for a long time. We're from the same village. We grew up together. Lin Yi said, Let me introduce you guys. Zhou Jiaming. His nickname is Gooden. Gooden, this is Meng Yao, my employer, and this is her best friend, Yushu. Chapter 1194. A female liar. Oh, since you're Shield Bro's follower, then you're my follower too. Hello, I'm Shield Bro's small wife. You can call me sister-in-law. Yushu looked at Gooden curiously. Lin Yi's best friend from the same village. Small wife dash, sister-in-law. Gooden's face was a little weird, but he didn't want to ask too much since they just met. Hello. Sorry about before. It's fine, we're a family now. Yushu waved her hand nonchalantly. But since you're Shield Bro's follower, then that lion counts as your follower too. You wouldn't be asking your follower for an explanation, would you? I won't. Gooden shook his head after some thought. If the lion was his follower, then asking the lion's boss for an explanation would be the same as asking himself for an explanation, right? Who would ask for an explanation from themselves? It seemed like he'd have to let it go. Hello. Meng Yao nodded to Gooden formally and reached out her hand. I'm Meng Yao. Don't listen to Lin Yi's bullshit. I may have been Lin Yi's employer, but we're friends now. I like to ask Lin Yi to stay here and protect me and Shu. She didn't know why, but she didn't want to define herself as Lin Yi's employer. She liked this identity at first and used it to lecture and order Lin Yi around, but as time went on, she started to dislike it more and more. My hands are dirty. Gooden blushed, embarrassed, not daring to shake Meng Yao's hand. Meng Yao didn't mind, either. She smiled faintly and took her hand back, avoiding the awkwardness. Lin Yi, since that Yuan's mother got bitten by the lion, why don't you go take a look at her? Don't delay the treatment. Meng Yao had heard Gooden's explanation of what had happened. Since Lin Yi was a really good doctor, he had to have a way to cure Yuan's mother. Yeah, sure. Let's go and have a look. Lin Yi nodded and said, Boss, there's no need to rush. Gooden was a little embarrassed. It wasn't that he wasn't worried about his mother's condition, but that Lin Yi had other things to do. He couldn't just let him do everything, could he? He hurriedly said, Boss, this is the medicinal liquid you asked me to bring. I have delivered it safely. You are in a hurry to save someone, aren't you? Let's treat the person who needs this medicine first. I lost your address when I went out, and I've already wasted a lot of time. With that, he took out a bottle of liquid and gave it to Lin Yi. Don't worry, there's no rush. After Lin Yi took the medicine, he pondered for a moment and said, They are all old injuries. It won't increase the pain if we take it easy for a while. Your friend's mother's injury should be very painful now, so it's better to go and see her first. Then, thank you, boss, Gooden said gratefully. You don't have to be so polite with me. Lin Yi patted Gooden's shoulder with a smile. Wait here for me. I'll go get some medicine and go with you. All right. Gooden nodded. Lin Yi went back to the villa to change, leaving Meng Yao, Yushu, and Gooden alone. Why didn't you kill that old woman Go Huli too? Yushu looked at Gooden regretfully. That old woman is so annoying. I can't just kill people like that. Gooden scratched his head, thinking that his boss's small wife was really ruthless. She was his boss's woman after all. Man, they really got off easy. Yushu shook her head. I wanted to ask, are you really my boss's small wife? Gooden looked at the pretty Yushu. He couldn't understand why such a pretty girl would be someone's small wife. Although the person was his wise boss, Lin Yi, it was still quite surprising. Yeah, Yushu nodded seriously. Don't you see that I'm living with Shield Bro? Why are you asking such a simple question? Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao interrupted helplessly, glaring at Yushu before turning to Gooden. Don't listen to her bullshit. Lin Yi has a girlfriend. Oh, Gooden didn't know who to believe. He thought about it and decided to ask Lin Yi about it. As they waited for Lin Yi, someone knocked on the door again. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Gooden heard the knocking and turned their heads at the same time. It was a girl standing in front of the villa. Meng Yao and Yushu didn't know this girl, but Gooden did. His eyes reddened when he saw who it was. As the saying goes, when enemies come face to face, their eyes will burn with hatred. It was Xiaoka. To tell the truth, Xiao Xiao didn't have the face to visit him, because she didn't have enough money to pay Gooden yet. She wanted to wait until the situation calmed down, or when she received a mission from the Steel Sect, and then pay him back. But the orphanage was in trouble again. It was even worse than the previous misfortune that never came alone. Xiaoyan, the orphan who was helping out in the kitchen, accidentally dropped her knife when she was cutting vegetables cutting her foot. She didn't think much of it at the time, just bandaging it casually. After all, this kind of injury wasn't much for the kids in the orphanage. But after a few days, the wound started to fester, and she started to get scared. She went to Xiaoka, and Xiaoka quickly applied some red medicine on her, but it wasn't very effective. The wound started to fester badly, and Xiaoyan started to have a fever. This scared Xiaoka. She was afraid that Xiaoyan would get tetanus, and the knife might have rust on it, causing the wound to get infected. Xiaoka panicked and wanted to take Xiaoyan to the hospital, but the orphanage didn't have a single cent left, and they'd been living frugally for the past few days. Where would they get the money to go to the hospital? Xiaoka didn't have a choice. She thought about the philanthropist she met that day at the train station, Gooden. This was a warm-hearted person. He had lent all his money to her. Xiaoka didn't think that it was appropriate to borrow money from him, but she really had nowhere to go. She had no choice but to go to the address Gooden gave her. Chapter 1195. Chapter 1193, Borrowing Money Again. I came here just to find you. Xiaoka, naturally, didn't know that Gooden thought she was a liar. She didn't hear the hidden meaning in his words. Just to find me? Gooden thought that it was a coincidence, thinking that she was here to scam him, but he didn't expect her to say that she was here just to find him. And so Gooden was confused. Yeah, thank you for last time. But I've run into some trouble again. My friend's injured, and I need some medical fees. Can you lend me some more money? Don't worry. When I earn money, I'll pay you back double. Xiaoka patted her chest. What? You still want to borrow money? Gooden's eyes went wide. Do you think I'm an idiot? You liar. I've already fallen for it once, and you still want to borrow money from me? If I borrow money from you again, wouldn't I be the world's biggest idiot? I really don't have a choice. I know you're a good person. Can you lend me some more money? Xiaoka begged pitifully. Gooden, you said she was the one who scammed your money? It can't be that coincidental, can it? Yushu heard the conversation between Gooden and Xiaoka. These two knew each other, and this was the person who scammed Gooden's money. I'm not a liar. I'll really pay you back. I've always kept your address. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to find you. Xiaoka paused after hearing Yushu's words. Thinking about Gooden's attitude towards her, she understood that Gooden thought she was a liar. No wonder his tone was so bad when he saw her. She quickly explained. Address? Gooden blinked. You said you found this place based on the address I gave you? Gooden thought that it was a coincidence, but after Xiaoka's explanation, he realized that it wasn't. Even so, Gooden found it hard to believe Xiaoka's words. These few days with Yin Yuan had taught him a lot about how to deal with people and how to deal with things, as well as the secrets of scammers. With the example of Yuren falling for it, Yuan had been teaching her father and Gooden about how to prevent scammers, and this had slowly raised Gooden's vigilance. He didn't trust people so easily. Yeah, isn't it here? Xiaoka took out the paper and waved it in front of Gooden. Then tell me, you have another friend who's injured and wants medical fees, right? Gooden asked. Yes. Xiaoka nodded. Liar. Do you think I'm a fool? Why is your family always sick? You can't just use the same excuse every time you scam people, can you? Gooden pointed at Xiaoka. Xiaoka didn't know whether to laugh or cry, but she didn't know how to explain it. But it seemed like she wouldn't be able to get a single cent from him now. Xiaoka sighed disappointedly. If you don't believe me, then forget it. I'll think of something else, but I'll definitely pay you back the money I owe you. Wait, you're running away already? I'll bring you to the police station. Gooden really couldn't do anything to a pretty girl like Xiaoka, so the only way to punish her was to bring her to the police station. That can't be done. Xiaoka jumped. What would Xiaoyan do if she was sent to the police station? How would the orphanage function without her? This was the most difficult time for the orphanage, and she couldn't be harmed. And so, Xiaoka subconsciously turned to run, but Gooden grabbed her arm. Where do you think you're going? With Gooden's strength, it was impossible for Xiaoka to break free. Xiaoka struggled a little and realized that Gooden's hand was like an iron clamp on her. She begged, Not now. I can't go to jail. I really can't. Why don't we wait for a while? I'll arrange everything, and if you're willing to send me to the police station, I'll go with you. If you leave, where would I go find you? Gooden didn't believe her. I can find you. I have your address, Xiaoka said carefully. Do you think I'm an idiot? Gooden couldn't help but get pissed. You cunning bitch. I can't let you get away, you vixen. Lin changed his clothes and left the villa with 2 bottles of medicine. He heard Gooden's loud voice as he walked out. He looked up and saw a familiar face. Xiaoka. Gooden was grabbing her arm, not letting go. What's going on? You guys know each other? Lin smiled as he walked over. Xiaoka didn't expect to see Lin here, and it was as if she had seen her savior. She begged with a bitter face, Lin, help me. Tell him he wants to send me to the police station. Send you to the police station? Lin paused, but he remembered something. Gooden, the liar you were talking about before, wouldn't be her, would it? That's her. Boss, you know her? Gooden was a bit confused. Hearing Xiaoka call out Lin Yi's name meant that the two knew each other. Lin frowned. With Lin Yi's understanding of Xiaoka, this might not be what Gooden was thinking. She might have been tricked by Xiaoka. Who was Xiaoka? She was a thief, and her specialty was stealing. She didn't need to lie at all. If she wanted Gooden's money, she could get it without a sound. Why would she need to lie? Plus, with Xiaoka's situation, it was normal for her to raise money when the orphanage kids were sick. Plus, even if Xiaoka really did trick Gooden, there was no reason for her to do it a second time. Xiaoka, what are you doing here? Xiaoka placed all her hopes on Lin Yi, and so she told Lin Yi the details of her visit. After hearing that, Lin Yi felt that Xiaoka wasn't lying. He had seen Xiaoka's orphanage before, so Xiaoka's words weren't far from the truth. The children in the orphanage were really injured. Chapter 1196. Brothers talk with that thought. Lin Yi said, You said that the child in the orphanage seems to have tetanus? In that case, I'll accompany you to take a look and treat her. Xiaoka paused, not expecting Lin Yi to know how to treat illnesses. You? Are you a doctor? Didn't I treat you last time? Lin Yi smiled. Last time? Didn't you use your qi to treat me? Xiaoka paused. Isn't that different? I'm a doctor too. Lin Yi smiled. Actually, Lin Yi could just give Xiaoka some money and let her take Xiaoyan to the hospital herself. Tetanus wasn't a problem in the medical field, but Lin Yi wanted to see if Xiaoka was lying or not. Although Lin Yi trusted Xiaoka, she was still a thief, and Lin Yi wasn't that close to her. Lin Yi couldn't guarantee that what Xiaoka said was true. He did this to help Gooden verify if Xiaoka was a liar or not. Of course, if what Xiaoka said was true, then Lin Yi wouldn't mind helping her. He didn't know if he was touched by Xiaoka's persistence, or if Lin Yi had assimilated with the people around him as time went on. His indifferent personality was slowly loosening up. Lin Yi didn't purposely try to stop the change in his mentality. If he wanted to assimilate into life, he had to adapt to it. Then, thank you. Xiaoka didn't doubt Lin Yi's words after hearing Lin Yi's words. You're welcome. Lin Yi smiled and turned to Gooden. Let's go take a look. Okay. Gooden, naturally, wanted to see if Xiaoka was a liar or not. If she really was, then it wouldn't be too late to teach her a lesson. But if she wasn't, then he'd really wronged her. That way, he'd feel better. At least his kindness had been repaid. Chill, bro, I want to go too. Yushu wanted to see what the orphanage looked like after listening to Xiaoka. Then let's go together. Lin Yi didn't stop them. Meng Yao and Yushu weren't big spenders, but they didn't have much of a concept of money. It would be very educational for them to see the orphanage. Gooden and I will drive Shu's beetle. Xiaoka, you ride with Yao Yao and Shu? Lin Yi and Gooden hadn't seen each other in a long time, and naturally, they had some things to talk about. He didn't want others to hear them. Okay, Meng Yao nodded and went to drive the Audi S5 with Yushu and Xiaoka. The two cars drove out of the villa. Lin Yi was in front, and Meng Yao was behind. That you, Yuan? Is she a girl you like? Lin Yi could tell from Gooden's tone that something was up. Now that he had the time, he asked, How do you know her? Gooden scratched his head, embarrassed. You saw through me, boss. I quite like her, and I want her to be my wife. Oh? Lin Yi didn't think that Gooden would be so serious about marrying Yuan. He couldn't help but be curious. How long have you been here? What happened? It's a long story. Gooden didn't hide anything from Lin. He told the story from how he got scammed by Xiaoka at the train station to how he was hungry and went to Yuan's burger shop. She told him about the trouble, and so he went to fight Fighterly, ahem. Linny coughed after hearing Gooden's story. This was too legendary, wasn't it? Gooden actually went to the underground arena and killed Fighterly, the one who was in charge there. But Fighterly was quite unlucky running into Gooden. That arena didn't cause trouble for you? Linny asked, surprised. No, I sent someone to send some money. Gooden shook his head. Linny nodded. He didn't think there was anything wrong with that. He was afraid of being beaten up. As expected, evil people needed to be beaten up by evil people. Then, Mrs. You got bitten by a lion at Go Hooley's house, and you came for revenge? Lin asked. Yeah, I didn't think I'd meet you, boss. Gooden said excitedly. Then what does Yuan want? Does she like you? Linny knew that this was the first time Gooden had feelings for a girl. He didn't want him to get hurt, so Yuan's attitude was very important. I think she likes me. Gooden thought about it and nodded. Plus, Yuan's parents treat me quite well. Yuan's father even wanted me to stay here and help him manage the hardware store. But, can you leave Star West Village? Will you be able to leave that Spirit Spring? You'll have to go back eventually. Linny frowned and reminded. Can Yuan go back with you? I don't know. Gooden was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. He didn't think that much before, but after Linny said that, he remembered that his body was special. He couldn't leave the fountain, otherwise there'd be big problems. Yuan liked him, he was pretty sure. But asking a girl to go so far away, to give up the prosperity of a big city and go to a small village, it was too much for her. After seeing the prosperity of a big city, even Gooden didn't want to leave, let alone Yuan. And so, Gooden was in a dilemma. I'll find a chance to talk to her. This has to be made clear eventually. Linny knew that some things might make Gooden lose Yuan, but he might get her love in return. But if he didn't say it out loud, it wouldn't work. You've used your strength twice already, haven't you? Without the nourishment of the fountain, the goo in your body will backfire. I'm afraid you won't be able to last long this time. Yeah, Gooden sighed. I'll find a time to talk to her. Lin nodded silently. He couldn't say much about this. Everything depended on Yuan and Gooden's relationship. Thinking of Yuan, Lin couldn't help but think of Tang Yun, this stubborn and persistent girl. When he was about to leave Songshan, she chose to leave with him. At that moment, Lin was really touched. He swore to treat her well for the rest of his life. Thinking back to everything they had been through together, it was a bit ordinary, but it was blissful. Chapter 1197. Give me one too. The car drove slowly to the orphanage, and Lin parked the car in front of the orphanage. Looking at the broken walls, Lin sighed. It wasn't easy for Xiaoka to support this orphanage all by herself. In the car, Xiaoka told Mengyao and Yushu many things about the orphanage. She told them about how pitiful the children there were, but seeing it with her own eyes wasn't as shocking as seeing it with her own eyes. If it weren't for Lin Yi's visit today, Mengyao and Yushu would never have known that there was an orphanage like this in Songshan. Mengyao and Yushu had donated quite a lot of money, but it was always to the remote mountainous areas. They'd never thought that there would be such a poor place in the prosperous city of Songshan. It's broken, isn't it? Xiaoka was a bit awkward. These two were obviously rich misses, and they wouldn't be used to a place like this. This is the orphanage? Are there a lot of children here? Do they live here every day? Mengyao couldn't help but ask. Yeah, this is the place. Xiaoka nodded. Children are actually very pitiful. They don't have parents to take care of them, and the dean and I can only do our best to take care of them. But the funds are limited, and their lives aren't that good. Xiaoka and the others had just arrived when Ken ran out from the red brick building. Xiaoka, sis, you're finally back. Yin fainted. What? Xiaoka froze when she heard the words. Yin had a fever before they left, and her mental state wasn't that good. She panicked and went to borrow money from Gooden, but Yin fainted in such a short amount of time. Lin and Gooden got off the car as well, and seeing the orphanage, Gooden believed Xiaoka's words. He felt bad for misunderstanding her before. He was a kind person, and if he knew that Xiaoke was giving money to these orphans, he wouldn't even think about asking her to pay the money back. He would have given it to her. Lin Yi also heard Xiao Qin's words at this moment and said to Xiao Qin, "Take me there." Xiao Qin knew Lin Yi, so he didn't hesitate at this moment. He nodded and led Lin Yi into the orphan's dormitory. The dormitory was a factory-like, long cylindrical room with dozens of beds. Although the room was dilapidated and the beds were rusty, the bedding was neatly folded. On one of the beds, Lin Yi saw Xiao Yan. The little girl was only about 10 years old. It must have been hard for her to cook at such a young age. However, this was the situation of the orphanage. There was no spare money to hire workers. Most of the daily chores were done by Xiao Qin and the children. After all, Xiaoke needed to earn money, and the dean's health wasn't good. The girl's face was a little green, and her forehead was a little hot. Her muscles were spasming all over. Lin Yi checked the girl's tongue and pulse before letting out a breath of relief. It's confirmed that it's tetanus. "I'll take care of the wound first, and then I'll write a prescription. Yao Yao, can you and Shu go to the pharmacy and buy the medicine?" "Okay." Meng Yao nodded without hesitation. The scene in the orphanage really touched her. She didn't believe it before, but now that she was here and saw Xiao Yan on the sickbed, she knew how hard it was for the children here. If she could help them, she wouldn't hesitate. Meng Yao had even made up her mind to donate all her pocket money to this orphanage in the future. She wanted to help these children as much as she could. Lin Yi quickly took care of Xiao Yan's wound and applied Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine. He left the rest for Xiaoke. "All right, there's no problem. Leave this half a bottle of medicine here. If you have any wounds in the future, apply it as soon as possible. If you apply it earlier, the wound won't worsen. One bottle costs 199. How can I afford it?" Xiaoke sighed. The orphanage uses the cheapest red medicine. It's fine for small wounds, but this kind of knife wound is too serious. You can't not use it just because it's expensive. Wouldn't that cause a problem? Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Xiaoke's words. You steal so much money, and you can't even afford a bottle of medicine? The situation is so tight right now. How would I dare to steal money? I wouldn't go borrow money if I could. The orphanage needs too much money. Of course we have to be calculative, right? That medicine is so expensive, 199. It'd be better if it was 99. What a profiteer. Xiaoke complained. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. How did he become a profiteer? His medicine was 100 quite cheaper than Dr. Kang's golden creation, wasn't it? However, he had heard about Ling Shan's operation to crack down on criminals. It seemed like Xiaoke's skills weren't up to par yet. Meng Yao and Yu Shu naturally knew about Miracle Dr. Guan's medicine. They couldn't help but laugh at Xiaoke's words. Meng Yao said, "Yeah, what a profiteer. But Lin, he knows the boss of the medicine factory. Maybe he can give you some?" Really, Xiaoke was overjoyed. If the orphanage could get some medicine, it'd be great. The children wouldn't have to worry about their wounds worsening anymore. This was a common medicine. Yeah, it's true. Lin nodded. He looked at the miss oddly. The miss had a good heart. This made Lin Yi happy. If Meng Yao was like those girls who flaunted their wealth, then Lin Yi wouldn't have bothered with her. Lin Yi wrote down a prescription and gave it to Meng Yao and Yu Shu. "Just get the medicine according to my prescription. Right? Shield bro, can you give me a prescription too?" Yu Shu asked as she remembered something after taking the prescription. "You're not sick. Why should I give you a prescription?" Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He looked at Yu Shu strangely. This medicine can't be taken randomly. Taking too much won't do you any good. I'm not treating a disease. I'm thinking, is there a prescription that can make people grow taller? Yu Shu blinked. I want to grow taller. Chapter 1198. A big deal. Xiao Xiao is a small wife, and so am I. But she's a little taller than me. I can't accept it. Yu Shu said, and both Yin Yin sis and Yao Yao sis are taller than me. We'll talk about it later. Lin, he was a little embarrassed by Yu Shu's request. Go get the medicine first. Meng Yao had wanted to ask if there were any breast enlargement recipes, but she couldn't bring herself to do so. She couldn't bring herself to ask about it, no matter how much she thought about it. Still, she could ask Yushu to be thick-skinned and ask her later. The girl could say anything. And it's decided. With that thought, Meng Yao grabbed Yushu's hand and went to get the medicine, thinking about how she should tell her about it. That's it? Thank you so much. Xiaoka saw that Lin Yi was a doctor and was very excited. She grabbed Lin Yi's hand and swung it back and forth. I'll go find you if the kids in the orphanage get sick again, okay? Lin Yi was speechless. It's just an emergency. Go to the hospital if there's anything. Come find me if the hospital can't solve it. Lin Yi didn't want to set a precedent. If he came to the orphanage to treat every single child with a fever or a cold, he wouldn't be able to do anything else. I see. Okay. Xiaoka was a little disappointed, but she knew that she and Lin Yi were just acquaintances. She couldn't force Lin Yi, but Lin Yi promised her that she could go find him if the hospital couldn't cure the illness. This made Xiaoka very happy. Sometimes a lot of newborns were abandoned by their parents because of congenital diseases, and many of these diseases couldn't be cured. Even if they were cured, it would cost a lot of money, and there was no guarantee that they could be cured. The orphanage adopted a lot of babies like this, and this was why Xiaoka didn't have any money left after all these years of stealing. Other than the orphanage's expenses, some of the money was used to treat the babies. She knew that she was throwing money at it, but even if there was a sliver of hope, she didn't want to give up on the baby. They were pitiful and innocent. Xiaoka thought that no matter how tiring it was, she had to spend money to treat them. On the other hand, Lin Yi's words brought hope to Xiaoka. Thinking about this, Xiaoka wasn't disappointed anymore. Instead, she said happily, "Then it's a deal?" "Sure." Lin Yi nodded and changed the topic. "If you don't steal money now, how will the orphanage survive? Let's just hold on for one day at a time." Xiaoka shrugged. "I put up a mission on the thief's door, and as long as someone sees it, they'll be able to eat for a year. Steel sect? Big deal?" Lin Yi frowned. Lin Yi had heard a little about the steel sect, so he said, "You want to do big business with your mediocre skills? Don't lose your life over this." "I'll be careful." Xiaoka humphed. "How am I mediocre? My Qigong is one of the best in the thief's door." Our Flying Sparrow sect is very famous in the thief's door. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything else. He could help her now, but he couldn't help her forever. She had to carry the burden herself in the future. Gooden understood the truth. Naturally, he knew that Xiaoka wasn't trying to scam his money. He felt a little embarrassed and touched his hair. "Xiaoka, I was wrong about you. You're not a scammer." "Huh?" Xiaoka didn't care about what happened anymore after seeing how generous Gooden was. "Don't worry, when I get rich, I'll pay you back. It's okay, I'll donate the money to the orphanage. Plus, you're my boss's friend." Gooden didn't have the face to ask for more money. Meng Yao and Yushu left the orphanage, and Meng Yao got in the car. She looked back at the ruined orphanage, a little emotional. "Shu, the kids here are really pitiful, but at least they have a big sister who cares about them." "Xiaoka, it really isn't easy." "Yeah, Yao Yao sis. I've decided that I'll organize a fundraiser when I get back to school, get the students to donate some money to the orphanage. Those who don't have any money can donate used textbooks or something," Yushu said with a sigh. "Oh." Meng Yao, on the other hand, was taken aback. She didn't think that Yushu would say something unexpected at a critical moment, even though she looked like a lunatic. Meng Yao only wanted to donate some of her pocket money to the orphanage, but she never thought about organizing a donation event. How could an individual's strength compare to the strength of a group? She really didn't expect Shu to have a plan already. "That's a good idea. I'll discuss it with my dad when we get back and let him talk to the principal about it." Meng Yao nodded in agreement. "That's great. I heard that idiot Xie Yufeng is pretty rich. Xiao Xiao cheated him out of a few $100,000. Let's get him to donate more too." Yushu's first target was Xie Yufeng. Meng Yao couldn't help but smile. Yushu was back to her playful self. "Right, you said you wanted a prescription for getting taller?" Meng Yao pretended to ask casually as she drove. "Yeah. Yao Yao, look at me. I'm so perfect from head to toe. Just a little bit more, and I'll become a perfect shoe." Yushu said regretfully. "Perfect shoe? I think you're more like a cow shoe." Meng Yao purposely brought the topic to Yushu's chest. Oh, what's wrong? Are you jealous of me? Yushu asked. So what if I am? Meng Yao rolled her eyes. This was the first time she admitted that she was jealous. Yes, she acted like she didn't care before. But who wouldn't be jealous? Hee, I know, Yao Yao. Do you want me to ask Shield Bro if there's a prescription for breast enlargement? You're too shy to ask, so you want me to go? Yushu looked at Meng Yao's face and guessed what she was thinking. I didn't. Meng Yao's face reddened as Yushu exposed her. Then I won't ask. Years of sisterhood made Yushu confident. Then I'll just ask casually. I don't have anything to do anyways. I might as well. Meng Yao acted like she didn't care. Okay, I promise I'll complete the mission. Yushu giggled. When I get taller and your chest gets bigger, we'll be invincible. We'll be able to beat Tang Yun Sis and Xiao Xiao. Chapter 1199. Misunderstood false information. But no matter what, the two came to an agreement. They went to the pharmacy, and Meng Yao bought a few bottles of Miracle Dr. Guan's injury medicine. Although Lin Yi could ask Fatty Lai to give some to the orphanage, it was better to buy 2 as a backup. Back at the orphanage, Lin Yi told Xiaoka about the things to take note of when brewing the medicine before leaving. Yan's injury was a piece of cake to Lin Yi, and it wasn't a big deal. Lin Yi's second stop was to find Yuan with Air Gooden. Today was destined to be a busy day, and with the medicine Gooden brought, Lin Yi couldn't wait to treat Tang, Juqing, and Fun. It was a good chance to introduce his follower, Kong Xiaobo, to Air Gooden. Fatty Lai, too, had officially received Lin Yi's approval. But Meng Yao and Yushu didn't need to go to Yuan's place. So Lin Yi let them return to the villa first. Family Xiao sent the 2 Pai masters to the hospital, and after returning to the villa, they started plotting. Brother, the 2 masters from House Pai are in the hospital. We have to keep this a secret. We can't let our partners know about this, or else they'll reevaluate our strength. Xiao Ji said worriedly. Of course we have to keep it a secret, but, big bro, you have to know that there's no such thing as an impenetrable wall in this world. We can't hide this forever. People will find out eventually. Xiao Bin sighed. But the good thing is that we're not as strong as them. Although the 2 Pai masters aren't a match for the hero, they're still a threat to the smaller houses. That's true. But I think we should use the time when the hero is looking for Lin Yi to cause trouble for House Chu. Otherwise, when Lin Yi recovers and finds out that 2 of our House Pai masters are in the hospital, we won't be able to get what we want. Xiao Ji said, I think we need to hurry. And that makes sense. How about this, sister-in-law? You go to the Chu family's villa to investigate and see what's going on over there. Did the hero injure Lin Yi? Xiao Bin nodded and instructed. Go. Go Huli was a little scared. She was afraid that she would meet the hero again. Yes, only you can go. You can use the excuse of looking at the lion to find out more about the situation. Xiao Bin said, if we go, we're not familiar with the 2 girls of the Chu family, so we can't ask them some questions. All right. Go Huli thought about it and clenched her teeth. She was willing to take the risk to attack House Chu. Go Huli left the Xiao family and took a deep breath. She calmed herself down and drove the Ferrari back to the Chu family's villa. Meng Yao and Yushu got home and saw the broken iron fence in front of the villa. They didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This guy was Lin Yi's follower, so naturally, they couldn't ask him to pay for it. They could only hire someone to fix it themselves. When they got home, the lion and General Weiwu were nowhere to be seen. Yushu was a little confused. She walked around the villa and saw the lion sleeping in the warehouse. Fuck, you stupid lion. Your master isn't home and you're lazing around here? Do you want to die? Yushu was very pissed off. What was wrong with this lion? How long had it been since she left? How long had it been since she left? Woof, woof. General Weiwu barked helplessly. Shoo, forget it. This is the lion's first day of training, and you've been torturing it for the whole morning. It doesn't have General Weiwu's stamina. It's going to rest now that it's tired. Meng Yao walked over and roughly understood what General Weiwu was trying to say. General Weiwu was a golden class dog, but the lion wasn't. Lin Yi didn't have any intentions of modifying it at the moment, evidently not trusting the lion's loyalty. It was impossible for a lion without any strength to be like General Weiwu. Oh, Yushu thought about it and realized that it was the case. She didn't care anymore. All right, go to sleep then. We'll continue training tomorrow. The two were discussing the lion when Go Huli's voice came from the door. Is anyone home? Why is that old woman here again? Yushu rolled her eyes when she heard Go Huli's voice. She walked to the front of the villa, unhappily. After Go Huli arrived at House Chu's villa, she first observed the situation outside. She realized that the iron fence on the villa's door was broken, just like her House Xiao's villa. Go Huli was instantly delighted. It seemed that the hero had found this place and had a conflict with House Chu's people. If there wasn't a conflict, House Chu would have let him in peacefully, and they wouldn't have broken the iron fence. It seemed like the conflict had been going on for a while, but there weren't any sounds of fighting. It should be over already. Go Huli mustered up her courage and called out. Yushu walked to the front yard and frowned when she saw Go Huli standing at the door. What are you doing here again? Why is there no end to this old hag? Do you want to show me how to pull your head off? Go Huli heard Yushu's sarcasm and wanted to yell at her, but she remembered that she was here on a mission and couldn't make things awkward with Yushu. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to get any information out of Yushu. With that thought, Go Huli held back her anger and smiled embarrassedly. How can this person live after his head is pulled off? Oh, then why are you here if he can't live? Yushu was pissed when she saw a lazy lion, and now Go Huli was here. How could she be happy? Where's the lion? Go Huli asked after some hesitation. Dead. Yushu didn't like lions in the first place, so she answered casually when Go Huli asked. Dead. Go Huli clicked her tongue in satisfaction. You ungrateful lion slave. It's better if you're dead. But she didn't show it on her face. Oh, then where's Lin? He went to the hospital. What's the matter? Meng Yao walked over and said impatiently. She had a bad impression of Go Huli and didn't want her to waste time at the door. Meng Yao still needed Faubert to come back and fix the door. Chapter 1200. Come to the door again. Meng Yao looked at Huli's back, confused. She didn't know why Huli came here all of a sudden. Huli didn't know that Meng Yao was talking about going to the hospital to treat Yuan's mother. Huli thought that he was in the hospital because of his own injuries. Huli quickly drove back to the Xiao family and excitedly reported, Good news! Good news! Huli, what's wrong? What's the good news? Xiao Ji looked at Huli's face and guessed what was going on. Master has already caused a ruckus in House Chu. Lion was killed and Lin Yi is in the hospital. Chu Lil girl and Chin Lil girl look like they just ate gunpowder. Go Huli said happily. Is that so? If that's the case, then the heavens are helping our Xiao family. Xiao Ji laughed. Brother, let's find some people to deal with Pengzhan Industries. Yes, not bad. Let's go to Pengzhan Industries now and talk to him. If he knows what's good for him, he'll give us some benefits. If he doesn't, we'll suppress Pengzhan Industries in the stock market. We have a lot of alliances now anyway, and we won't need to invest any money. I'm sure a lot of people will want to split Pengzhan Industries with us. Xiao Ben thought about it and said, in fact, ever since the masters from House Pai entered the Xiao family, more and more smaller families came to flatter them. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben's ego had started to inflate. They enjoyed the feeling of being on top of the world. Every time they thought about the humiliation they suffered in House Chu, they would grit their teeth, wanting to avenge themselves, but there was never a suitable opportunity. Now that the opportunity was here, naturally, they wouldn't let it go. Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben didn't linger and left for Pengzhan Industries. This matter couldn't be delayed. They had to be decisive. Pengzhan wasn't expecting Xiao Ji and Xiao Ben to come visit at this time. He knew about the Xiao family's resurgence, and he was afraid that the Xiao family would come for revenge at first. But after a while, he was relieved to see that everything was fine. House Pai probably wouldn't make an enemy out of Lin Yi for no reason. It wouldn't benefit House Pai, so the Xiao family brothers didn't make a move. Mr. Xiao, may I know what brings you here? The enmity between Pengzhan and the Xiao family was irresolved. They were already enemies, and so Pengzhan wouldn't mince his words. Judging from the looks on Xiao Ben and Xiao Ji's faces today, he knew that these two didn't have good intentions. Peng Zhan, thanks to you, our Xiao family was almost finished, Xiao Ji said coldly as he sat down on the sofa in Peng Zhan's office. Mr. Xiao, if it weren't for the greed of your Xiao family, things wouldn't have turned out this way. Peng Zhan wasn't angered. He was a man of manners, after all. He only smiled faintly at Xiao Ji's rudeness. But the heavens have blessed our Xiao family. Our Xiao family is not finished. We're even getting better. What do you think? Peng Zhan, are you jealous? Jealous? Wahahaha. Xiao Ji laughed loudly. Just say what you want. Peng Zhan knew that the Xiao family brothers didn't come here to show off. They probably had something to discuss. Peng Zhan, don't think that I'm letting you off the hook just because I didn't come looking for you. I didn't come looking for you because I didn't have the time. Let me tell you, the enmity between our families is huge. Xiao Ji slammed the coffee table in front of him. Peng Zhan frowned. He didn't think that the Xiao family brothers would come looking for him again after so long. And from the looks of it, they were definitely here for trouble. But what kind of courage was it that made the Xiao family act this way? Could they be this arrogant with just two masters from House Pai supporting them? But why didn't they come looking for trouble when the masters from House Pai just arrived? Why did they wait so long? Mr. Xiao, you've probably forgotten the pain of the past. It's only been a short time, and you've already forgotten the lesson for last time? Peng Zhan had thought things through after what happened last time. There were times when it was time to be tough, and he'd just give it his all. Even Lin, he was willing to give up everything for House Chu. So what was there for Peng Zhan to do? Peng Zhan, I'm not afraid to tell you that we're here for what happened last time. Xiao Ji smiled coldly. Peng Zhan, don't say that I didn't give you a way out. You have two choices. One is to hand over a portion of your business to us, the Xiao family, and the other is to wait for us Xiao family and our partners to attack your stock market. Peng Zhan frowned. There was no doubt that Xiao Ji was the same as last time. He was asking for too much. But Xiao Ji wouldn't do something as crazy as this unless he had something to rely on. He wouldn't just come here and say something stupid like this. His business wasn't something he could just give away just because he wanted it. And so Peng Zhan only smiled faintly. Mr. Xiao, you seem very confident. Is it because of the two masters from House Pai? But don't forget that the masters from House Pai were beaten away by Lin Yi before. Lin Yi? Ha ha. So you're still counting on Lin Yi? Xiao Ji laughed mockingly at Peng Zhan. I'm not afraid to tell you that the person you're counting on is now hospitalized. He's been beaten to the hospital by Master. Hospitalized? Peng Zhan paused. What? You don't believe me? You can give her back her Lin Yi a call if you don't believe me. Xiao Ji said nonchalantly. Peng Zhan's face changed. He finally understood why the Xiao family would suddenly come to his doorstep again. They knew that Lin Yi was injured. Perhaps it was the same as last time. They wanted to take advantage of the situation. But Lin Yi was perfectly fine. How could he be injured? He was even beaten up by some hero and hospitalized. Then why would Master hit him? If it was a master from House Pai, then Peng Zhan would still believe it. But where did this master come from? But even though Peng Zhan was doubtful, he still picked up his phone and called Lin Yi. He'd be able to get the most accurate information from Lin Yi. Lin Yi, where are you? Peng Zhan asked. Although he kept his tone normal, he couldn't help but feel anxious in his heart. I'm at the hospital, Lin Yi said. What's wrong? Uncle Chu, why are you suddenly asking this question? You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.